Alright, time to go to creator dashboard here and set up all my stream title shit. Alright. Let's link his shit. God damn it, Malcolm.
Now than it was back in 2020? Well, no.
You're such a nerd. Yo, Carrier, get in here so I can warm up my voice a little. I've been speaking all day, so I sound a bit, Dude, the kick UI is actually insufferable. Holy shit. I actually hate the kick UI. I hate it so much. I really do. I have to open my YouTube chat. I do. I have to open my YouTube chat. Can you help me announce it, Carrier? I have to open my YouTube chat. Can you help me announce it, Carrier? I have to open my YouTube chat. Good job, wow. Dude. Alright, I got a message from ftmongoose. Okay, cool. They said around 10 minutes from now, so that's fine with me. Okay, cool. Hauser. Kairuse. Dude, this song is so insanely edgy.
Maybe I'm going a little crazy. Popping a little too much lately.
This girl is like Lil Peep. She's like Lil Peep, but like a little worse.
I know that I got what I need, but still feel like I'm missing something that really must fucking mean something. I don't know, man. I just feel like I wasn't meant to be put on this planet, but I didn't plan it, so I'ma make what I can with it. Yeah, I didn't plan it, didn't plan to be on this
Yo,
planet, but I'ma make the best.
what's good? Who just joined? Hello? Oh, your voice is a little off. How's my sound? You good? You're cutting out. Dog, it's cool. Well, ow, Jesus Christ. You have a really bad network connection. I don't know what's going on. Okay. All I hear is intense scraping on my ear. Hi, Sarky. No, you are a health hazard, Carrier. I have to mute you for a bit. Fix your shit. Holy shit. Why is my browser so huge? Right there. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be showing my YouTube video for this stream. The goal being to not make my video shit and to have a dialogue about the smeth debate, which I was planning to do a while ago. And I kind of dipped into it with Emery for a bit, but yeah, still room for it, I guess.
Do I sound better?
Yeah, you do sound better. Good job.
Okay. Yeah, I told you my computer, apparently it's diagnosing itself, which doesn't sound good. That sounds like a bad thing, so I'm on my laptop.
Okay, cool.
You said you needed to warm up your voice. What do you want to talk about?
Because I've been speaking all day. It's a bit off. Hi, Emery.
Hey, Marie.
Let's just chill for a bit.
You see
know? He's supposed
that
to
Tim
be...
Pool turned out to be a Russian paid actor?
Wait, who?
Sorry. Tim Pool turned out to be a Russian state actor. Or
I turned you up a
Russian
bit.
paid actor.
Yeah, I heard about it from anything else, which I assume is the same for you.
Yeah, well, I heard about it from anything else and saw things about it on Twitter. And
Right.
real goofy
You're very multivariate in your media consumption.
I make sure to get a taste of everything.
Right,
I'm
yeah.
really good at that.
Just like
I'm a very
in
informed
life,
voter.
you know, sexually.
Yep.
But,
Yeah. You're
let's
gonna make
see.
sure to mention that to Mongoose, right? Really fucking awkward too. Yeah, that's
What?
a good tactic.
Okay, you're right. I have to change my tone a little bit, probably.
Yeah.
But, let's see. Bash, sack, blast, blowout, snag, cut. These two are synonym. Synonym. Synonym.
Okay. You can blow out someone's back. You can blast their ass. You can
Whoa, okay.
score with their pussy.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
cool. There's an attempt. I
And
don't
slam
think that
that
was
ass.
correct. I don't think that worked. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, never mind.
Snag, trim, cut. What else? Where-
Snag is a. What does snag have to? How does
Snag
snag
is
fit in
like you can snag your bag on some sharp object. I don't know, but fuck this shit. This isn't working. Attempt.
there? Snag bag.
Oh.
No, it's no.
Shoot,
There's no.
score.
Yeah, score, bag, snag, and
Oh, you know what? Yeah. No. There's a
No.
really obvious one that I'm missing here. Blast, bash, slam. I guess. I'm not sure. Sack? No.
blow them out. Yeah, they wouldn't. New York Times is too out of touch to do that.
Bro, I don't know. Like, probably.
That's pretty good.
Dude. I've gotta actually think. I have to put my mind into overdrive. I'm gonna sit like L for a second. Give me a sec.
Yeah. How is my PC still diagnosing itself? This is scary.
You realize all that shit doesn't do anything, right? Windows added those features and they don't do shit. The diagnostic tool is not useful. You gotta figure it out.
I know,
yourself.
but I literally can't use my PC. It's like saying it's gotta do this before I can use it.
Okay, Italian PC moment.
It's not Italian.
Okay.
I'm
New
not
Jersey
from Italy.
PC. New Jersey PC. Let's see. Snag, trim, cut. That's the closest that I have so far. But no. Slam, blast, blowout, bash. It's the only. Bro, I was one away. Okay, so I know.
Yeah. It's
know.
not blowout. Get blowout out of there.
Oh.
It's slam, bash, and blast. Oh wait. There's football terms here.
Oh,
Yard, score,
blend,
sack.
score.
No.
Back.
Yard, score, sack. These are football terms.
Okay. You're kicking.
Yard, scores, and attempt. I think you make an attempt
Bro,
at field
I'm gonna
goal.
turn you down a bit actually again.
Okay, you sack the QB. You get yards. You score touchdowns, and you attempt field goals.
Okay,
That's
cool.
4 things. You wouldn't know that
Fuck.
because you don't watch good sports.
No, it's American football. Who cares about American football?
Okay. Fuck, I'm right about that. I don't.
Probably lens or bag. Snag? I think. I'm not sure. Good.
Okay,
Let's go.
I'm out. Oh,
What?
I'm just. Okay.
It's cool.
Oh wait, this is a different connections from me because we're in different time. That's so
Okay,
freaky.
dude. It's fine. We're doing this.
You're doing tomorrow's connections for me.
Yeah, well, I'm one day ahead. Okay. Probably. My best chance is just starting with these three that I know are there. And what else could possibly fit? I feel like it's sack, maybe. And I was cooked.
Why didn't you?
Yeah, I lost. Alright, I got it. Great. Yeah. Fucking stupid game.
Yep, there you go. Reception. I should have
I
known.
hate this fucking game so much.
But no one calls it a reception in football. That was a stupid one. No one
whatever,
does,
dude.
They talk about receiving, but not like a reception.
That
I've never heard
game
anything
is
called-
gay as fuck, and I hate it, and I never want to do it again.
What? I always start with alive. The only letter in there that's not frequently used is
Right.
V.
Alright, there's an I and E. There's no
Can you-
A, L, V.
Okay, real quick before we do this, can you
What?
explain to me why W is on the right side of your screen, but it occasionally, periodically covers up the left side of the screen too?
What are you talking about?
Is that on purpose? The overlay? You have an
No,
overlay for
sorry.
W?
Thank you for telling me about that. That second one always turns itself on randomly, and it's so fucking infuriating. And it's
making
not something I intend to turn on ever. It just turns itself on randomly, and I have no idea why. I'm just gonna delete it.
I was gonna say that's a lot of space W's
Yeah, I
taking up.
know. Listen, bro. I wouldn't do that on purpose. You can't just like. Okay, think of me a little higher of me, Carrier. Just slightly higher.
No, what do you mean? We're like a 20-viewer stream at the moment. Okay.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. I wouldn't be that retarded.
What do you mean?
Listen, I'm scaring the host, okay? I'm actually scaring the host. I need to.
You're
This
just
ghetto
hurting my
ass stream
feelings.
is never gonna have like.
Mongoose is gonna be like, oh, I don't want to talk to
We're
that
never
person.
gonna get like a
Look how mean
fucking
they are.
1,000 viewer
Look how mean
political
they are to
streamer.
that stick of butter.
We're never gonna do it. We're never gonna have Destiny on. It's actually over, Carrier. I can't
Yeah,
do
you're
it.
too mean for Destiny.
I
Even.
know.
Look how mean you are to
I
your
know,
stick
and
of
there's
butter.
no fucking way I
co-host.
can do this. It's actually we're cooked. We can't do the political shit. But you know what? We're gonna try for one more day.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're gonna have a good conversation with this person I know nothing about.
I
but-
hope so. I hope so. I hope I'm sufficient because I feel like they're probably operating on a band above me. But we'll see. We will see. All right. I, E. What are words with I and E?
Peers. No, you don't want to use that, and also it's too many letters.
Yeah. This should be easy. In
Bidet.
theory. No, it doesn't
Bidet.
at all. What?
Bidet.
Today.
Bidet.
Okay. Wait,
Bidet.
no, that doesn't make sense.
Why doesn't that make sense? That makes perfect sense. Bidet.
I and E.
Yeah, bidet.
Bidet.
Like the thing that cleans your
I
ass.
thought you said today. Invite Tim Pool on just to chat about Russia and everything great about it. I'm sure he would do that, Emery.
Timple has a few things to answer for there, actually.
Oh, shit. We're close.
Okay.
Bidet. Bidet was not correct, but something else is very similarly structured.
Cider.
Cider. Okay. Fuck.
It's not cider.
No. Biter, miter, cider, lighter.
Well, you got
Yeah.
rid of those letters.
Biter, miter, niter.
Well, Well, it's not gonna have an R in it, right?
Oh, it's not gonna have an R, you're right. I'd, might, I'd. Fiddle? No. Middle. Siddle. Riddle.
Maybe it's an idio?
Idio?
Video? Video?
Midio. It's not gonna be video.
Yeah, it's not video.
There has to be. There's no fucking way.
Maybe it ends with an EY. Maybe it ends with a Y.
No. No. I don't feel it.
Chat, how do you feel about it? Let's get some chat
Can someone help
interaction.
me? Is anyone intelligent enough to figure this out?
Let's get some chat interaction.
If you can figure this out, I know a really good energy energy beverage. I'm having a cold kid moment. I know a really good energy drink that you can get 20% off.
If someone makes a guess, I'll play a soundboard for you. It'll be really funny because
Wow,
it'll
it'd be
earrape
hilarious,
Gary.
bro. It would actually
It'll
make me
earrape
cry.
Gary.
Haha, funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. Sorry, they messaged me 3 minutes ago and I didn't notice. My bad. I have people in the Discord. We have rooms in the real.
Wait, I'll leave. Okay.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, no. Wait, they said they'd be here in 5. Okay.
Okay. But yeah, don't tell them they have to tolerate me. I'll leave.
Okay, I got you. Yeah. Well, ftmongoose is gonna be here in 5 minutes. Let's finish this game, guys. Come on. Give me answers. Someone throw me a fucking answer. A bone, because I'm very low IQ. Cool kid, hey. Dude, what do you think of this emo song I'm playing? Do you feel it?
I can't hear it.
Yeah, I'm aware. It's cool. We just... Oh. Mid? Okay, but I don't get, like, issues with copyright when I listen to this shit, to be fair. That's a pretty good... That's a pretty big advantage.
Yo! What is going on, guys?
Wow,
Hey,
cool kid.
okay.
My favorite
Oh
chatter.
my god!
Other than me being...
What is
Who's
happening?
actually my favorite chatter. How are you?
Too far. Well, I'm just here to help you with this. Why
Yeah,
can't you
help
do
me,
this? Why you?
bitch.
Why
it
are you
has
so dumb?
IDE in the middle, and it ends with something and
Okay.
begins with something. And it doesn't-
IDE.
yeah.
That could be. Let me think. Let me cook. Let me cook.
I'll let you cook.
Let me cook. Dude, what has IDE in it?
Wow, thank you for your help. Thank you for cooking.
Dude, who knows? Dude, this is not normally.
Wow, I'm really glad that I have you here. I really, like...
I'm cooking, bro. Give me a minute.
Yeah, you're only good for one thing, by the way. The fact that you're not fulfilling your ability to do the Wordle is really letting her down.
My bad. Okay, let me just lock in. Let me lock in.
That was not me, by the way. I would be a lot funnier with a soundboard.
Yeah,
True.
but whatever.
Where's this? Where's the guy? What's taking him so long?
Nope.
Where is he?
Listen,
It's not taking him long.
they started stream, and they're just getting water, so...
Okay.
Yeah, be nice.
I'm being nice. I just
Yeah, can you
just
shut the
wanted to
fuck
know.
up, cool kid? Maybe when, like, you know that people are, like, hovering the stream potentially, you don't, like, shit talk them? You fucking loser. Wait, are you
that's
gonna
my
cry
bad.
about this?
I don't-
Because I publicly said this, you're gonna, like,
Kill
cry
you.
about
Oh
it?
my god, I hate you. I hate you. I hate you.
Because
Okay.
what
You're
the
a bad
fuck's
person.
happening
You realize
here?
you're a
Was he
bad
having a
person,
degrading
right? You know
tank
you're a
or
bad
what?
person?
Why am I listening to
We're
this?
filling in the time by bullying cool kid
True.
because people always love to listen to hatred above anything
God
else.
Yeah.
bless. God bless.
God fucking damn it, cool kid. You're so fucking useless.
Bro.
Hey.
Literally, I've never heard this more from literally says you. Why you've been here for 30 minutes to get an answer? Why can't you come up with one? Tell me.
Because
I want to know.
it's bullshit. What the fuck has I'd in the middle and ends with
bro.
something? And
That's what
begins
I'm
with
saying.
something?
What is I'd? Who's I'd? I want to know.
I don't know.
I think it ends. I think it's gonna end with a W. That's my guess.
Okay.
But I can't think.
Maybe.
I haven't done all of
Midu, is it cheating to look up words?
I don't think so. I look up words for connections.
Added?
It kind of is cheating.
Oh no, there's no A in there. There's no A there.
Yeah.
Oh wait, it's gonna end in a D. Sided?
Sided.
Sided.
Really?
No shot. No shot.
I don't know.
No
Is
shot.
it good? It's not hided.
No.
Look,
Nice
do you have a
try.
better one?
Nice try.
Do you have a
Wait,
better
there's
one?
an E somewhere. Wait, guys, we're so retarded.
Okay,
It's literally
doesn't
spelled out. There's an. Oh wait, never mind. I'm retarded.
I think I should filter it just by testing things it could end with, like W.
Yeah, just keep typing.
I used to do that, and then people told me that was cheaper than if you went with
Bro,
like triangle.
they can do.
All right.
Up to you though.
All right, you're him. You'll figure it out. Okay.
No, she, her in bio. Excuse me.
Oh, my
Hello?
bad. Sorry. My bad. Sorry.
Okay. Let me think.
What has I don't know. I don't know.
Mido.
Cedar?
Midio.
Cedar?
Gidio. I don't know, dude. This is such a
don't know.
terrible choice.
There's no D
Wider.
at the end. There's no D at the end.
Maybe wider? Does it?
There's no
is ruled
R.
out. But
There's no R. There's no R.
the only thing it could be is like W or some shit. Or God, this is gonna be such
Cider?
an esoteric word.
No, they never do an esoteric word. Widen. It's widen. God
Are
fucking
you
damn it.
sure?
Widen?
It's just the only thing it could be. It's never an esoteric word, to be clear.
No,
it's
Oh
never
my
a
god!
word.
What is a widen?
I hate
What is
this.
a
Widen
widen?
things. It's a verb.
This
Cool
is-
kid.
I've
This
never
is
heard of
what-
it. I've never heard of
Never
it.
mind.
Fake. Why do you
is
play
what-
this game?
This is what
Absolutely
Carrier still has
trash.
to do every night.
Widen? What is that supposed to mean?
I don't know, dude.
What does that mean?
You can
What does
you
that
can work
mean?
it in like a million different ways. It's like a fat joke, a dilation joke, a sex joke. I don't know.
Well, joke's on you. I'm not fat, and I'm not a sexual deviant, so
Okay.
I'm
Like
mad.
me and you, Kari, for real. On God,
Word.
ain't no way.
Okay.
Never commit sodomy.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you.
Man, did this guy's
Absolutely.
car run out of gas or something? Or maybe there's
Are
some
you on the
traffic.
Galaxy Gas? Are you on the Whippets, cool kid? You want to talk about Whippets?
I would
Let's talk
love to
about
talk about whippets.
Yeah,
I
these
would
are the
love to
most
talk about
interesting things
whippets.
in the world, apparently.
I would love
Do
to
you
talk
know, do you know
about
about the
whippets.
Galaxy Gas
Wait, are you
guys?
actually?
I
you
do
kidding
know to
me?
talk about
The
the
fact that he led.
Galaxy
You wait. Have you never watched a streamer do monkey app before? Did you just? Because the whole thing is you
No.
have a running.
No,
You
do
have
you know
at
about
least
the
one
Galaxy
running
Gas,
thing that you
dude?
tried.
Yeah, do you know about the Galaxy
Galaxy
gas
Gas.
carrier?
Do you know
the
about the
Galaxy
Yeah,
Galaxy
gas?
Galaxy
Gas?
Gas.
You know
That was
about it?
fine.
Do you know about it?
Yeah.
I'm
Are you
critiquing your
aware?
critique.
Kari,
Your critique was dog shit.
Kari, you're trying to hurt me right now, but you can't, okay? Because I've hurt myself, okay? And I've come through it as a better person. And you're
Yeah,
a
you were
worse
such
person
a
for trying
punk
to hurt
bitch
me.
about it, cool kid. You're such a pussy about beating yourself up
Bro,
over it. God
my
damn.
bad. My bad.
You gotta be tougher than yourself. You gotta beat the shit out of yourself back.
Word. On God.
You know, I went on my. You see, this is what the problem with you two, okay? You'll never go on a Shaolin monk arc like me, okay? I went into the mountains of Tibet, okay? And I shaved my head and came back a better person.
Yeah, okay, and that's why you came
The
up with the
Buddhist
fucking
monk.
whippet joke over and over on Monkey.
Yo, I'm gonna keep burying the
Oh,
lead. and
hey,
seeing if
Kari,
we can-
let me ask you a question. What jokes did you do on that?
Oh, you know, how about the joke of my fucking existence since people found it hilarious?
She knows that she can't say, you talked over me the whole time because we know exactly
You did
what.
talk over me the whole time.
Oh yeah, that totally was good.
Yeah.
He definitely wasn't filling time. Definitely wasn't.
Brother,
filling time.
you literally talked over me the whole fucking time.
Yeah, I know I did, okay?
I
And we're
uploaded
gonna
it,
change
by the
that from
way,
now
so
on.
you should be able to see it soon.
That's good, okay? Look,
Yeah.
this
I
is
did it on
this is how you figure out
Instagram.
things, okay? Me and you are getting it out of our systems. That's what we need to do, okay?
On God.
On God, okay? Real friends, they fight with each other, okay? They just don't hide it in.
They forge connections, yeah. And then one
True,
of them
they
cries
play
for a
Wordle.
whole night. Yeah. That's usually how it goes.
Kari, you're a terrible person. You're actually a horrible person.
Wait, for real? Or are you joking?
I mean,
Okay, good. Just checking.
true, because you
You
don't
should
want
kill
to
yourself
cry again.
now.
You should kill yourself now. Your life is worth nothing.
Nothing.
All right.
Your life is forfeit. Your life is meaningless as a summer ant, Kari.
Okay, yeah, I got it. I know the whole copy pasta, by the way. The more you repeat the low tier god shit, it doesn't become funnier, cool kid. You just become more of an empty husk of a human being. A markup change of means, and like,
Yeah,
I totally fucking misspoke.
Good one.
Oh, look, it's an important person. Go skedaddle. Go away.
What's popping?
We're good. Hey, how's it going?
No, it's going. Sorry about
No, it's cool.
my horrible
It's cool.
time.
The one
Management
issue is
skills.
I'm kind of losing the plot with the conversation with Smeth, so it'd be good to like refresh myself, by watching it as well.
Sure thing.
Yeah. Do you want me to just stream it to you? Because my browser should still be in Discord. Which, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm doing one thing on my end really quick.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And you said you're streaming it on in here. Oh, okay, I see.
Right, yeah.
Okay, let me... I should be able to pop this out. Yeah, I can pop it out. Okay.
Yeah, that should work. I'm gonna skip the intro for now. This is not really necessary.
No problemo.
Okay, cool. So, you want to just go into it, or do you want to like a brief preface of what this conversation was exactly?
You tell me, whatever you feel like doing, because you've been subjected to my horrible time management skills. So
cool.
whatever sparks joy for you.
It might benefit both of us to have like a brief summary of what I think that debate was. Basically, it was me and Smeth. He opened it off, by the way, when he reached out to me, saying that he wanted to talk about. He basically said that he didn't believe that trans people were real, essentially. Basically, he believed that it was definitely a phenomenon, but he didn't think, like, quote unquote, that you were born that way, which I don't think is necessarily a premise you have to believe there's something essential about it, but whatever. So the conversation was kind of framed around, like, is dysphoria a thing, or is it more of a social contagion, more or less? And it's kind of like flipping back and forth between narratives and seeing what's more compelling to either of us. But the issue that I ran into was, I think mine necessitates kind of a stronger scientific basis to really make compelling, whereas his is much more intuitively understandable to like the average person, especially if they're cis.
Yeah, sure. I think that Smith is a fucking idiot, and intuition pumps everything based on like his own like feelings about everything. So I would pretty much agree with everything that you said. I was popping in and out and listening to bits here and there. And the two main things that I was privy to was the talk about like anorexia nervosa, and then there was one more thing that I had said that was fucking stupid, but I don't remember off the top of my head what it was.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the things that really bugged me, and I'm sure it bugged you too, is when he said anorexics are more rational than trans people, because unlike anorexics, trans people can never actually become the opposite sex.
Yeah, so like it's really interesting because a lot of the anorexia nervosa bullshit comes in regard to social contagion and rapid onset gender dysphoria. And one of the things that's really interesting about that is like dysmorphic versus dysphoric disorders, wherein if you have some kind of dysmorphic disorder, which anorexia nervosa, bulimia, these are BIDD, BIID. These are all dysmorphic disorders where there is no like equilibrium. Like you could take an anorexic, give them, the lowest body fat percentage humanly possible, and they would still have a distorted perception of themselves. Dysphoric people like recognize the presentation of their phenotypical features, and then they have a desire to change them, so they're just like not even comparable in any kind of meaningful capacity.
Yeah, those were there were two prongs that I responded to that with. It was one, what you were saying, where there were two things that you've encapsulated it. Okay, I basically said that word for word, more or less. I said they don't necessarily have like insight. People with like dysmorphic disorders, whereas I think like trans people aren't really characterized with this lack of insight, where they're not quite sure what's going on phenotypically. They're more they can be very rationally based in like addressing dysphoria, whereas like anorexics have what I would call like a very like anxious, like compulsive desire to like manage their weight or their eating habits. It's not really sourced in like an end goal. And then also what you said, there's no equilibrium of if you get them to a certain physical goal, they'll generally like mitigate dysmorphia because the source of it isn't like some incongruence or some issue with them physical. Them physically. I'm misspeaking a lot because it's a little late. I'm sorry, but
Oh, you're fine.
It's more of a mental disorder. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, yeah. There was one other thing that I had said, but I don't remember what it was off the top of my head. But those were like the big takeaways from the few bits and pieces that I was able to catch.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, that's a pretty good like preface to it. Another big part of it was he wanted to talk about how, and I think it's kind of true, there are like alternative incentives that are really compelling to transition, especially nowadays. But like I don't think it's like super representative of most trans people, obviously.
Yeah, I think that it's foolish to pretend like obviously medical transition is going to be the most like effective evidence-based therapy, but in the same token, you can say that even things that have high effectiveness rates like SSRIs, antidepressants, antipsychotics, things like this, things that do have really high success rates as far as treating symptoms, a lot of these things are not one size fits all. So just because an antipsychotic works for like one person, it doesn't mean it's going to blanketly work for every single person that comes across it. So even in relation to like transition related care, it's very feasible that you can have somebody where transitioning isn't like the correct intervention that they need. Maybe they just need to talk through their feelings. Maybe they just need to socially transition. Maybe they just want to live as their assigned sex and learn how to like manage those feelings of dysphoria or those symptoms, so to speak. And that's completely fine as well. So I agree that it's not a one size fits all, but we can look to evidence and say that like, okay, most often this is going to be the most effective form of treatment, and say that like this can be recommended, but obviously there should be like a reasonable amount of gatekeeping in the sense where it's like we want to make sure that this is what somebody really wants to do with their body before just going like full steam ahead. As far as adults are concerned, I'm pretty like, I don't fucking care if you want to do whatever you want to your own body. I don't care. But as far as either insurance coverage or any kind of interventions for people under the age of 18, which I'm pretty hesitant on as a whole, I would say that, you know, it's completely fine to like weigh different options insofar in that medical transition isn't going to be the end all be all for everyone.
Right. Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of a fair summary of where we're at. Let's just go into it. Yeah.
Let's party.
Wait.
Hey there, Smeth.
Hi.
You could
What's
have
up?
joined
What's up?
immediately, by the way. Hey.
What's up?
All right.
I had to sing beautiful people for my beautiful people.
All right, word. I'm sorry, I didn't really catch that.
It's all right.
We were trying to speed run a bunch of research real quick, but I realize it's not a super empirical debate. Right. Okay. I'm a bit joking there. I was kind of genuinely looking up stuff quickly just to make sure I was a bit refreshed on the topic, but also slightly memeing and like looking up transgender as a joke. But yeah, it doesn't really matter that much for this conversation, so I'm good.
Well, you were saying we briefly talked, and I think it's not empirical, but I think you think it's more empirical.
I think it's more empirical for sure. Because if you're asking
You've already
a question,
already let me gaslight you.
Okay. Well, I think if you're asking a question of like, is there an essential difference between trans people and cis populations such that there's like an actual basis for it outside of just a social contagion or some like you said, like a red pill movement that's just like kind of people looking for fulfillment. I feel like that is kind of a question of looking at, okay, what markers do we have biologically for that? You know? Okay.
Well, so I made the comparison to red. This is something I recently came up with. Red pillars, I'll get criticism from those type of people. They'll say, well, if you want what you want out of life, you gotta change yourself. You gotta become the alpha male, whatever. And I feel the same way. It's like, well, I also want to become a woman or whatever. And I learned a long time ago that what I really need to do is just, I'm a freak. And maybe you don't like me, and that means I have to try 3 times as hard to get what I want out of life. But I'm not going to change myself. I'm going to force the world around me to change, or I'm going to force my way into some place where I fit in.
Word. I mean, that's one way to look at it if you think that it's all just kind of a socially driven source of pain. There's nothing like essential there, because like if you believe that like dysphoria is a very real thing, it's not going to be something that's like entirely driven by society forcing you to conform, right?
So there are studies that show. I'm sorry, I'm not answering your question directly. I don't want to.
It's cool. He does that a lot. The like Mr. Girl kind of like pause and like, okay, I see you've asked me an important question here. I'm not going to address it. Let me just take you down a detour into my mind palace, you know?
No, it's like straight cancer. It's like insufferable to listen to. It's like, it's just,
Yeah.
there's nothing like more frustrating than trying to have like a meaningful distinction conversation with something and somebody just wants to like pontificate and philosophize about bullshit that they don't know anything about. It's like incredibly frustrating, and it's very fake, and it's very annoying. But
I mean, I find it a little fun because I used to enjoy a lot of conversations with Mr. Girl. It can be kind of cool, but like, you know, there is like that.
It's very like boomer-esque, where it's just like you just want to say the most inflammatory shit possible to see if you can get a reaction out of somebody, and it's very boring. It's like we all have old people in our lives that I could get this exact same conversation out of, like, you know, somebody in a fucking retirement home that just wants to say slurs to see how you react to it. It's just so boring to me.
Yeah. I think there's like a more emotional side of it that can be kind of compelling, like when he talks about his like personal experiences and like, I don't know, like there's a very much like a kernel of truth to like people having a degree of like social contagion, or hey, I have this package of like transitioning and it's kind of like, it's kind of appealing outside of alleviating dysphoria. There's like there's fun conversations there, but I feel like he should have let me address the more empirical side of it a little.
Well, and those conversations are definitely interesting to have, but it has to be with somebody who's willing to like actually engage with the concept that there's an authentic experience underneath that. In the same way that you can say, I don't know how old you are. When I was growing up, everybody had fucking bipolar disorder, but nobody actually had bipolar disorder. They just said they did. And so there is like a real phenomenon that lies underneath that. And so not being able to contend with the idea that like in order for there to be a contagion or for order there to be like some fake phenomenon, there has to be something real underneath it that we're appealing to. In the same way where you can have like girls who will make out with other girls when they're drunk. They're not actually bi or actually lesbians. They're just like drunk and being horny or whatever. You're still appealing to something real underneath that, which is like being gay, right?
Right. Yeah.
What is your question?
Well, I just think if there is something essential to transition, then what you just said about it being like a unnecessarily socially enforced expectation for people to transition is kind of wrong, just on the face of it, based on like whatever factual basis we have. Because yeah, if there's like a medical reason to transition, like an essential dysphoria that will only go away if you do transition, there is no social adjustment that would correct it.
I think that being womanly, and being a nice person, being a people pleaser, or having ADHD, I think that these are not. So there is what I was about to say a second ago. I have ADHD. You can tell because I just started 3 topics without finishing any of them, and you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And
wait, pause really quick.
Sure.
You could be like a total dick in the same instance as this and pull like the bullshit where it's like, well, you know, ADHD is really fucking trendy right now. So many people are just going out and getting Adderall prescriptions because it's prescription grade speed,
right.
And nobody actually really has ADHD. You know, it's just like a really fucking popular trend right now, and it gets at the same vein of the argument where it's like you still have to appeal to something real underneath it, right?
Yeah, there's probably a lot of drugs where there's some other subjective value for it, and it might not necessarily be medicating what it's originally pharmaceutically designed for, but it doesn't invalidate like the diagnosis that it's actually looking to treat, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That would be a good one, because everybody gets butthurt over the ADHD shit, but that'd just be.
It's a big pet peeve of mine, by the way, that like when you pause and unpause a YouTube video, they have this full screen macro thing, and it's just like, when has anyone ever wanted this?
ADHD, but also
I agree.
I don't think that it is real, but I do think that there are studies that show differences in people's brains who have ADHD. But there are also studies that show differences in people's brains who play the violin, and I think it's. They've decided it's probably related to fine motor skills and, you know, music listening to music, but in particular, different from other musicians, violinists have a slightly different brain. But I don't think they were born to be violinists. I think that their brain is different because they are violinists. And so I think that my brain is different. Like I have ADHD because of my childhood and my parents fucked up somehow. So I think that if you and I don't even think that, so let's say that you have a brain that looks more like a woman's brain, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with you, just like I don't think there's anything wrong with me, and I don't think you have to change your body. I think your desire to change your body is awful, and that's like that, you know, the dysphoria, I think that's real, but I don't think that you were born to have.
Bro, it's so triggering how he's like, I think dysphoria is real, and if you have a woman's brain, I get that desire to transition, but like he's like, let me acknowledge and make this concession while not actually acknowledging what you mean, you know?
No, yeah, because like even realistically, like you can make the same argument for like depression, or any other kind. Like I don't want to use like anything that's like pretty like med necessary. Like my brain is wanting to go to schizophrenia, but I think that's like a bad comparison. Right. If you think of something like depression, like there's two different kinds of depression. Like there's circumstantial depression, where like you have like a culmination of like negative experiences in your life that create like this kind of imbalance, which allows you to be depressed like all the fucking time. And then there's like chemical imbalance depression, and chemical imbalance depression like requires medical intervention to like rebalance the chemicals in your brain. You could argue very easily that with circumstantial depression, that isn't always necessarily the route to go, and evidence will show that circumstantial-based depression is pretty med-resistant. So it's really interesting because it's like, it's frustrating to listen to, only because it's like, again, you have to validate the underlying thing that you're appealing to. Like you have to acknowledge that like the thing that you're describing like exists in reality in order to offer that contrast to it. It's just really fucking irritating to listen to.
Yeah, he wants to be able to go like, let's address the nuance here. I acknowledge your reality. It's true, but let's address the nuance here while also existing in the world where my reality isn't real. And it just makes it very hard to talk about it.
Well, and if you have the opportunity to alleviate any of that, even if it is through medical intervention, like why should you be forced to suffer through whatever feelings if you have the ability to change that? And then if, you know, it's something that you consent to as well.
You know what's wild? You'll see this later. I asked him a question about schizophrenia and if someone should alleviate their symptoms of schizophrenia with medication, and he actually said no at one point. It was a bit of a wild ride, but yeah. Yeah, that's certainly a take, I suppose. Yeah, that's good consistency at least.
I suppose.
For you.
Oh, I don't necessarily think that you were born like genetic. Like I don't really have a strong leaning towards someone being born to it or even having like a genetic predisposition to it. I just think that like whatever the case may be, it could have just been like an onset environmental cause very early on. This population that's seen as transgender seems to not really respond to anything other than affirmation for revealing dysphoria. It seems to be a more essential force in their lives.
What do you mean when you say essential then?
By essential, I mean like, it's an attribute that they have that can't really be ignored. I don't know. Like it's part of them physically. It's a biological trait. I guess that's what I mean in that context.
Okay, so by that definition, I think that you could say that I'm trans, because I have, in my last stream, I was just bitching about it the whole time. It's what the whole stream is about. Where does my misogyny come from? My resentment and my jealousy of women, and my feeling like a misfit. It makes me really, really resent and makes me really misogynistic. But I don't think that I don't want to take it out of myself. I wanna.
You know, someone actually mentioned to me that that's like a common thread with Smeth. Not to suggest that he hates women, but it seems like people talk about how whenever he talks about shit like this, it's loaded with this kind of contempt for women, I guess, or like this idea, like he very much like sees women as just like these sexual creatures that are, their whole existence is framed around how they can appeal to men. You know?
Yeah, it's like a pretty shallow understanding in my opinion, but I think excuse me, I think the thing that's like most interesting is Smeth like just fully made me a trans medicalist. If Smeth is trans, then I'm fucking the Pope. Like, that's crazy. Let's go.
Yeah, it's interesting because he basically believes he's like a self described AGP. He was trans before, but it's because he was AGP and he got over it. Because it's all social constructs and he didn't want to conform to society and all that bullshit, right?
Well, even if you believe in the concept of AGP, like the typology necessitates that like AGPs still are trans, they just do it for like fetishistic reasons. So even by that logic, it doesn't necessarily work. But, you know, and it's a free country, I guess, unfortunately.
Like, so I see transitioning as taking it out on yourself. You're changing yourself so that you can be happy with yourself. It's like I don't see it as any different from cutting yourself or anorexia. I respect people who are trans and they go through a lot to look the way they do, and I don't, you know, I don't want anybody to transition, but if you have transitioned, I'm not like here to shit, go for good for you, you know what I mean?
Okay, so
you've done something cool. I know it's weird. I don't think you should have done it, but I think it's cool, kind of. You know?
Okay. So the correct, I'm kind of losing the plot a little bit. You said something about it being similar to anorexia though, and that's always a sticking point for me. I feel like the key difference there with the understanding that I have would be that it doesn't require like a lack of insight, for one. And for two, there is like a meaningful end goal that you can reach that would mitigate your dysphoria without like that. You wouldn't talk therapy it. It would be like an actual physical change that seems to resolve it, or at least mitigate dysphoria. Whereas with anorexic people, you'll never get to like 30 kilograms or like 10 BMI and then they'll like magically be cured. So
I think that I think that anorexic people feel a lot happier when they're skinnier.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I made a mistake there where what I meant was they feel good in the short term, but I think conceding to that sounds like I'm saying they're happy holistically and like cured, which is not quite what I meant.
Yeah, I'm really interested because I want to look at this because I'm almost positive that it's actually the opposite. Is like the less weight that they lose, like the more distress that they feel because it's not reflective in how they perceive themselves. Right. Or like if you have somebody who thinks that they're like, you know, the fucking whale essentially, the more weight that they lose, the fact that that distorted perception doesn't change causes like higher degrees of distress, right?
I mean, in my experience with like eating disorder shit, when I got to lower weights, it would kind of, I think it's less to do with the weight. I think it's more just the mechanism of knowing that I have my weight under control and I'm taking the measures I need to get to the random magical X unicorn fairy palace that exists distantly in the future. Whatever is this like vague nebulous goal that I have, knowing that I'm progressing there makes me comfortable. That is probably more so what I meant.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm trying to look this up really quick because I'm almost positive that I've seen the opposite, but I'm trying to find it. So you don't have to wait for me. I'm just going to keep digging for those.
No problem. And I think like there's an element
so that
of
mitigates
like,
it.
I mean, for one, it doesn't mitigate like the actual problem there. Like I've struggled with kind of eating disorder stuff before, and it seems to be more of a mode of like dealing with anxiety. Like it's a very much like a coping tool. So it seems like when these people reach like a given weight, they might feel better for a little bit, but the end goal isn't really there. It's just kind of a way that they feel less shitty about themselves day to day.
Well, I see being trans as the same exact thing.
Why?
I don't think there is like, so I would say it's even worse than anorexia because you actually can become skinnier, but you can't actually change your sex. So, and I mean that to say like the technology we have is like I would be saying something different if we actually had like pain-free, easy like options that if we had like a button that you magically press and you instantly change your sex, I would do it every day for fun. Okay. But what I'm saying is you actually with being anorexic, you actually can get to what you want, and with being trans, you actually can't ever get there unless what you want to be is something in the middle.
I have two issues with that. One is the idea of anorexics having somewhere that they want that's like understood, because that's never really the case. It's always kind of just an infinite, like, addiction.
I think that I don't think that's true. I think they want to look like an Instagram model, and they might have a warped perception of themselves. That means that they always think that they are fatter than they are, and they may not realize that they actually are the thing that they want. But I think that that's the same thing as being trans. I think that what the desired outcome is to feel comfortable in your own skin, and I think that so for me, I've chosen I feel like I have the disposition to be trans, but I've chosen to be comfortable in my body and mad at the world instead. So I see it as if I were to be trans, if I were to transition, I'd be taking it out on myself, but I want to take it out on everyone else. That's what I want.
Okay. I mean, I hear you, but I feel like I could put a pin in that for now. The other part of it that I had an issue with is I'm losing the plot a little bit, but yeah, no, I don't think he's doing it on purpose, but when he says like so many things that are very long-winded in a row, I can lose track of it, and I don't think I need to get in the habit of utilizing my notes a bit better.
Yeah, writing stuff down is like a pretty good way,
right,
to be able to do that. I try to do that, but it kind of depends on the day, I suppose. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm reading a lot of these.
I was reading a donation. I know you couldn't hear it. Basically, Emery said it's important to note that a lot of anti-trans creators are usually unhappy with themselves, in fact, as people. Like, Smeth has a lot of dissatisfaction with who he is.
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted to play, like, ultimate armchair psychologist, I would just say that that's probably a result of resentment that he has, an insecurity in, like, who he is as a person and his ability to, like, find women. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say, if anything, I would feel like it's falling into the trap of, like, if I transition and I come out as trans, I'm going to get so many bitches. But I feel like if I was to play armchair psychologist, right. I'm absolutely not. I would never do that, but that's what I would say if I was.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting observation, but I don't know anything about Smith, really. I'm probably not the person to do it. Maybe Emery is more informed.
Yeah, I would never do that, though, so I wouldn't ask me.
Yeah. What was the thing that you said before I addressed the anorexic thing? I'm sorry. I lose track of the conversation a little when it goes to, I should write like bullet points.
I'm also not very linear.
Yeah, I'm very linear. I'm sorry. That's like a big contrast. I guess I can stick to the anorexic.
Well, you're not good at keeping it. You're not good at keeping it on the train tracks.
You're right. But the anorexic thing, I very much disagree that there is. I do agree that like culturally it seems to get like induced from girls wanting to be like Instagram models or having some ideal. Usually, that's usually how like the habit comes into play. But I think it's a bit analogous to like smoking or like an OCD person watching. Hold on. Wait. Something just weird happened with my Streamlabs. I'm sorry. I'm a little confused.
Oh no, you're good.
I just heard something twice, but whatever. I'll proceed and just assume that was a weird bug. Washing their hands excessively or turning the lights on and off. I feel like anorexics have like an irrational fixation with limiting their eating habits for stress regulation. I don't think it's very much based in like an end goal.
Well, I don't agree. I think that if it's spurred on by Instagram models, there is an end goal. And the end goal is to be an Instagram model, and an Instagram model is a fictitious image that you actually can't actually be, which is the problem. Just like transitioning, you want to be who's like the most famous, most beautiful like trans woman, and like
probably.
I guess, but like I'm thinking of like. I'm thinking of something like Tex Taj looks kind of still like a human being. I mean, like Instagram model. Like there are trans women that look like like
it's not enough to suggest that it's all motivated by a desire to sexually fulfill yourself by imitating like very like attractive women. It's specifically like Miami bimbos and like cosmetic surgery people. He has to like specify.
Dolls.
I'm sorry.
Like, they look.
Sorry.
Well, sorry. You said he had to specify what?
He had to make a delineation between well, they don't just want to be attractive women. They want to be like models with cosmetic surgery, specifically.
Look like
Sure.
Instagram model women. And I think that
Yeah.
vast majority of people that transition, you're never going to get there. So I think it's exactly the same thing. And
Okay.
and so, but I was talking to Ray Williams, and he was telling me that there are a lot of trans people that settle for
Ray Williams.
being like in the middle, and they're just like, I want to be like a freak, you know what I mean? And they're like, I want to be like a weird, like non-male looking, non-female looking person. And it's like, oh, that's kind of like, I kind of respect that a lot, because they like, okay, fuck it, this I'm balling, you know? I don't know.
Okay, so one issue that I have there, and I remember it now because I was going to say it before, you mentioned earlier that an issue with transitioning and why it's kind of worse than anorexia is because it's fundamentally irrational because they'll never become females, right?
Yeah.
I think I have an issue with that because based on my own experience and from what I understand from trans people, the goal isn't really to necessarily become biologically female, but to mitigate dysphoria by having less of a physical difference between your internal sense of your sex or your gender and your
And the
body.
more female you are, the more mitigated it is.
The more female like you are, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you were to become female, you theoretically would have 100% mitigation. But then even then, you'd still want to be a beautiful female. And so I still think it's the same trapping that all women have. I think that the Instagram model effect. And
You're right that
so
there's... Yeah, sorry.
when I want to, oh, sorry, I don't want to, I'm going to pivot again. So
It's cool.
when I want to lose weight,
Pivot again.
I look at,
Yeah, just a beautiful way to make sure we can meander and do the Mr. Girl paintbrush technique.
Instagram models. Yeah. I think about how it feels to be sexy and desired, and that is the path that leads you down anorexia. And if I were to live in that world forever, it'd be unhealthy.
Yeah. I guess I do agree with you that a lot of trans people go into transitioning with unrealistic expectations, and there's a lot of people who will target being like very attractive. But I think that is like more of a woman brain thing, not really emblematic of what dysphoria is at its basis. There are like loads
So you actually think people are born with women brain?
maybe not like literally like a girl brain or a boy brain and it's like perfectly categorized, but probably more of like, if I had to guess, probably certain features of your brain are exhibited in women and not in men.
But I'm saying that I think I agree that it is woman brained in that way, but I think that it is like, so I think that if you are a trans woman, you have the same affliction that most women have, and I don't think that it's healthy for women to play into it, and I don't think it's healthy for trans women to play into it. I think women should stop shaving. Like, even though so for women, it'll make your life better to wear makeup all the time, to dress slutty and to stay skinny and to shave all your body or whatever the fuck you have to do. And maybe maybe for trans people, it might make your life better, make you feel better about yourself, or give you access to community or access to theoretically different options romantically, theoretically. I don't know how realistic that is, because I think a lot of people end up isolated depending on where you live. But I think that it's the same thing. I think it is. You are a fucking woman. I say it, as I was saying the last time I streamed, that I'm a woman in this way. You are a woman. You are a woman in this way.
I'm a real woman, yes. Of course.
No, not a real woman. No, I don't. not by. When I say real woman, I think that means female. But when I say in this context, when I say you actually are a woman, you actually are thinking like a woman, and you have a lot in common with women, and more than men.
I mean, I would say that I do have like an inherited set of commonalities. Like, I do want to be pretty. I probably do want to be skinnier. I do look up to like Instagram models to some degree. But I wouldn't say that that's like essential to dysphoria or like
God,
what
I want to
would
just, I
attribute
want to be,
dysphoria to.
I want to be an Instagram model. I want to be a slut. I want to be a slutty girl on the internet so bad.
I mean, any thoughts about that?
It's like he's just trying to fucking sex with you. It's so
Yeah.
funny. It's so funny. I just, it's really interesting. I don't know. I truthfully try to mind my own business all the time as far as like trans women shit is concerned, because it's not my wheelhouse. I don't usually talk about like trans women shit or whatever, but like at least from my perspective, it is incredibly interesting coming from like living, a lot of my life being, perceived as, treated as a woman, however you want to describe it. I don't really care. It's very funny when men are like, the reason that women do these things is because they want to be fuckable to men. And it's like, if you poll, or like even if you just asked around, you could say that for like really young insecure women, or maybe like women who are kind of like in their hoe phase, for the lack of a better phrase.
Right.
But when you like get like deeper into like developing yourself past the age of like, I want to say like 17 or 18, maybe later for some people, I guess it would depend on like the person, but for the most part, a lot of people want to look good because it makes them feel good, not even necessarily in the sense where it's like, I want to be fuckable or I want to be hot. And it's just interesting to hear like the perspective of somebody who like doesn't have that perspective necessarily, to say like, no, it all boils down to like you wanting to get fucked. And it's like, wow, I don't know about that.
Right. I don't think it all boils down to women doing themselves to go outside doing themselves up to go outside and hope that like men on the street like fawn over them or like chase them down the street because they're just so attractive or some shit, right?
No, that's like a male perspective and like a male fantasy of why women like present themselves in certain ways. It's like it's so ironic because it's like he doesn't even see that that's quite literally the perspective that he's giving, that it's his fantasy that women are getting dolled up and like fuckable for like male attractiveness or like male sexuality. But it's like the inverse could not be more true. Like most women, like they want to look hot with their girlfriends because Stacy has like a huge rack and they want to look good taking pictures next to Stacy. They're not really interested in like Craig, Jerry, and Dan at the fucking bar with their 6 collective teeth coming over to rizz them up. Like that's not really why girls get ready to go out.
There's like Sarky also said that Smeth projects a lot in chat, but I think there's a more long-winded way you can make the argument, which is more about like internalizations and how it might ultimately come from men originally. But yeah, interpersonally, for the way the woman's thinking rationally, they'll typically actually just think like, oh, it's cool to look this way, I want to look this way, and it's not really a thought of like, how much attention can I get from men from this. It might incentivize the behavior. Like, I'm not gonna say like,
to be clear, like there are certainly women who do act like that, but I would say like an overwhelming majority of women are like, if you're dressing up to go out to the club, you're not like, oh my god, I can't wait to like get super hot, find this random fucking guy at the bar that may or may not give me chlamydia, and hopefully go home with him. It's like, no, I'm going out with the girls and I want to look good because we're all taking pictures together. Like, if anything, that's the feedback loop into like the weird Instagram angle that he's obsessed with, where it's like, you got to look hot in your Instagram photos. If you're getting hot to go to the club to look good in Instagram photos, why the fuck are you concerned about like dudes hitting on you? Because you're not. You're just there to take the pictures because you're an insta thought, right?
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a real thing that women get incentivized by validation from men, and it's probably internalized some degree from that overall structure, but I think a lot of the enjoyment, it's like exaggerated how much of the enjoyment with your appearance comes from purely just, seeking male validation. But someone sent me this video in chat. I don't know what this is. I have no idea what's going on here. Chris, let us. Hey, what? Oh, it's a fucking tiny video too. Okay, I don't get it. Chris, maybe I was supposed to watch this privately. That looks like a very material girl.
I want to be Lav.
All power to you.
I want to be Lav.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think a lot of women would probably want to be alive. Yeah, you're right. But does that mean that like that? I mean, she's very pretty, Chris. She looks a little plastic-y, sort of, but probably conventionally attractive to most people. Yeah. Is that all there is to transitioning if trans people happen to have similar desires to women?
Well, I agree. I don't think dysphoria is something to be, turn your nose. I think it's a real and really serious thing. And I think that dysphoria to the point where you feel like you need to transition is not very far from suicidality. You're saying you're
I'm not gonna neg your Bumble match for you. You do that on your own time.
fundamentally, you believe you're wrong, and so that's real. You really have that brain. Your brain thinks that you're wrong and hates itself. You hate your body. And so I don't want to shit all over that. That's real. You know?
I mean, if you agree that, okay, so basically from your perspective, you're saying it's real, but it's just kind of an irrational sort of feeling. You think you're ugly, which I know is like Mr. Girl's position as well. It's just like body dysmorphia.
All feelings are irrational. It's just that this is particularly unhealthy.
I think I would, if you have, this is why I said that there's kind of like a fundamental facts basis for the argument, because if you believe that there's like a neurological condition of dysphoria or like some actual physical basis there, then it's not really like an irrational thing to want to resolve it. For example, someone in chat asked a hypothetical.
Of course, if you define it as real, then it's not irrational, but I don't agree.
Well, yeah, that's the issue. That's why it gets to more of a factual basis, because if, like someone in chat asked, if you're born without legs and you experience lower quality of life due to that fact, is it irrational or delusional or non-essential to get prosthetic legs? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a like actual disability. Like,
well,
you're like, if you're trans, you're a healthy human being, and there actually is nothing wrong with you.
Well, that's essentially the disagreement, right?
To transition, you have to.
By the way, he just said the sentence: "If you're trans, you're actually a healthy being, and there's nothing wrong with you. You're a healthy human being, and there's nothing wrong with you." Just the fact that he had like the dissonance to say that in that moment speaks volumes.
Well, yeah, it would be like hindsight is always 20/20, but like there's a lot of like doubling back on things that he's already said, where he's like gender dysphoria isn't even really like a real thing, and then he's like, no, it is real, and I want to validate that suffering or that experience, and then I just don't think that you should transition in response to it. But then he went on to say like, no, dysphoria is like totally real, but it's like not really a disability, and then if it is a disability, it's not that bad. It's just kind of dancing around all the topics without really saying anything.
Like, cause serious damage to your body and your ability to reproduce.
Well, I would
and your
say,
sexuality.
Yeah.
One thing that this one pisses me off that people like to pretend is not true is that transitioning does fuck with your sexuality and your sex drive. And
sure,
I met trans people who like are told that that's not true, and then they transition and they're like, oh shit, like that is true, and wow, now I'm like this.
I mean, I will tell you that's definitely true, but I want to quickly, I'm sorry, I'm really bad. I should bullet point more. What you said before
I'm a
about
tough one to grab.
Yeah, trans people being completely healthy. I would say, oh my god,
their bodies. Their bodies.
You said that you basically said non-subjectively transitioning is bad for you. I would say that it's kind of analogous in my head, given that I believe that there's like an essential condition there that can be resolved with affirmation and have decent outcomes. In my head, it's a bit like treating like depression with like SSRIs or something. There are like clear negative outcomes to your health physically, but like subjectively for this group of people, it can be effective for them.
Right. I
need vacuum.
So I think that too. I think that the act of ameliorating a negative feeling through drugs might have, like, obviously, there are benefits to doing that, and there are people who probably need that, and there's a reason we have these drugs. But I think that the act of ameliorating your negative feelings about yourself or your life, or ambient negative feelings or ambient anxiety, comes at the expense of your actual mental health. I think that, like, so if you are depressed, it's because your life sucks in some way. And for you to take SSRIs, and taking SSRIs means you're going to put up with whatever it is, and that's not good. And so I think that a lot of trans people, there are probably, the thing about trans, there's probably a lot of different reasons to be trans, but in general, I think that there are probably people, particularly probably your parents or something, the way people have treated you, that you've internalized, and just like I have, that you being a man or you being a woman is related to the way you're treated. And it is related for everybody. Trans or not, people treat me a certain way because I'm a man. There are things that about me that people can call me a loser or a failure or whatever, where they wouldn't do it
God,
if
I
I was
wonder
a
why.
woman. They would be criticizing me totally different.
Right?
That's crazy. Wow. So
Wow.
surprising. So
I mean,
surprising.
Honestly, interpersonally, I don't have that much of an issue with Smeth. I think it's probably the biggest moral condemnation I have with him for my experience with him is just, why would you have such a sweeping prescription on something that you're not willing to read about?
Well, I think the biggest issue is just like the dissonance that is attached to a lot of the conversation, where it's like even just talking in the idea of like, a lot of the reason that people are depressed is because their life just sucks. And if you take antidepressants, that's like, it's just you dealing with the thing that sucks and not really changing anything. And it, like we talked about right at the beginning, there's a difference between like situational depression and like chemical depression, where it's just like the hormones in your brain is fucked up, in the same way that you would say like you can't therapy schizophrenia out of somebody. That's like, there's something fucking with their brain that needs to be treated with some kind of medication. But you can even branch that even further and say the same thing about like any kind of medication that we take. Like if you have a headache, can you take ibuprofen, or should you just suffer? Is that your body telling you that something's wrong, so you just have to deal with your headache until you can figure out what it is, and like maybe drink more water, or maybe you have like a brain bleed or something, or even something like asthma? It's like the whole point of modern medicine is to remediate certain symptoms to like make your life functional. And anybody who has ever done any kind of work, psychologically, therapeutically, pharmacologically, anything like that, will tell you that medications themselves are meant to be like tools to help build a better life, and then eventually like nobody's going to prescribe you antidepressants and the goal is for you to be on antidepressants for the rest of your life. It's just to ameliorate or remediate those symptoms until you're able to better manage your symptoms in a productive way. Because if I'm so anxious that I can't even leave the house, I'm never going to be able to work on like my agoraphobia, because part of that is going to be going out of the house. So anti-anxiety medications are used in conjunction with like exposure therapy in order to get people to be able to take those steps that they wouldn't be able to take without it. It's like a helping hand necessarily. And so the idea that, you know, these things are used as crutches to inhibit people from being able to live their true authentic lives, and they just are dealing with it and throwing a band-aid on it. It's true for certain individuals, of course. Like there's always going to be people that are like overly reliant on medications, but the principle itself is that like you're not supposed to be on antidepressants for your entire life. You're not supposed to be on anti-anxiety medication for the rest of your life. It's just a tool to help you deal with your issues in a meaningful way. That way you can actually make progress. And it's so funny, like listening just to people that like have no idea what they're fucking talking about and just kind of like proselytize about it. It's very funny to me. I don't really have any other meaningful criticism other than that. I think it's fucking hilarious. It brings joy.
A lot of it is, as we've said before, very loaded with his intuitions.
Mm-hmm.
Different way. So
But like to the average person on the street, I think it's important that part of the reason why that perspective is so powerful is because it is just more compelling. Like I think when Mr. Girl talks about this and he kind of puts you in the seat as, imagine you're transitioning. Why would you do this? Imagine yourself cutting off your dick. Like how crazy is that? Like it's very much like you watching this video, you could never be in a rational state of mind where you do this. It's based on that intuition.
Yeah, I think the only reason that falls short is because, like, realistically, anybody can find themselves in extreme situations where they would act, like, completely out of character, like, given what's presented before them. Like, the problem with that is the idea that you are, like, to the core, like, always in control of yourself, your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, and all these other things, and you're not. So, like, realistically, there could be a situation where there is a cis guy who loves his dick. It's the best thing in the entire world, and this guy cuts his dick off. you could probably put a few people in a situation where they would act that irrationally. And I think the thing that's jarring about that is that people are uncomfortable with the implication that they can at one point be out of control, or like essentially at the will of whatever ailment they might be succumbing to, whether it's like a mental illness, whether it's like a circumstantial thing. And especially with men, of course, where it's like, you know, if somebody broke into my house, I would John Wick that bitch. I would like fucking kill him. But it's like, realistically, you're going to be hiding in the corner calling the cops and crying, scared that you're going to die. And it all comes down to the idea that like people don't like that idea of being out of control. And for somebody who has never experienced that lapse of like, I'm willing to do anything to not feel this way, it's really difficult for them to put themselves in that situation. And you can say the same thing about suicidality. Like, nothing would ever be that bad in my life that I would kill myself. But realistically, we know like plenty of people who have been through the ringer and they're put in a certain situation and it's more than enough for them to pull the trigger, right?
Yeah.
It just is really reductive and like a poor way of framing it, because people do crazy shit all the time.
Well,
and that isn't really like a rational argument, in my opinion.
I think the issue, I guess what all I would say about that is, what I'm trying to communicate is they're basically trying to project their own physical body and think, is there a rational state of mind where I could transition? And I think when you make a comparison to suicidality, I would actually say that there is no rational state of mind that you would do that. I would always call that like irrationally based. It would always be something that you should, that there's not someone who can autonomously decide to kill themselves, outside of the case of obviously like you're very old and on like life support and like all your organs are failing and your life is miserable, right?
Well, there's plenty of circumstances where, and this is like the uncomfortable reality of suicide, is that when people are put in precarious situations and there's no out that is foreseeable, reasonable, or something that's achievable, it's incredibly easy to like imagine yourself in this situation. And people talk about it like in jest a lot of the time, but a big problem is going to be like, so imagine that you marry a man tomorrow. Say that you find a guy and you get married. This guy has control of all of your finances. So you trust him with your money. You love him. You trust him. So he's in control of all your finances. You guys eventually have kids together through whatever means that is. You guys have the kids. Say that this guy, the entire time that you've been together, has been lying to you, has been cheating on you with like your mom or something just fucking insane. And you come home and he's in bed with your mom and he says, fuck you. You don't have any money. I have all the money. I'm taking the kids. I'm telling them what, like a sick, twisted, degenerate freak you are. I'm taking the car. I'm taking the house. Here's your cardboard box. Go and put it up underneath, you know, on the bridge. And if even in the context of this, you can add additional factors onto this. Like, what if you're somebody who doesn't have like a high school diploma, so you're never going to get a job? What if you're somebody that has no family, no social supports other than this guy that you're in a relationship with? It's very easy to imagine that when you are like quite literally left with nothing, that in your mind, that is a rational response. It doesn't matter about like the outside observer looking in and saying, that's crazy, like just go and get your GED. But for the person that's in that situation, that is the rational response, because there is no immediate out. And that's what suicide like seeks to remedy, is like there is no other option. So it's realistic that you can have somebody who is, for all intents and purposes, a very rational, thoughtful, well-intentioned person who is put in a precarious situation where they truly believe there is no option out of it. And the immediacy of suicide is something that like prohibits people from making the quote unquote rational choice. But when you put yourself in that mind frame, that is a rational choice, because you see no other opportunity to get out of the situation that you find yourself in, right? And that's one of the hard things about having conversations about suicide, is that from the perspective of the person that's in it, that is a completely rational action, because there are no other options left for them to pursue, right?
The thing is, though, I think I would actually, maybe this is like a difference in worldview. I would say for most situations outside of, let's say you're being chased by the cartel and you're aware that they're going to get to your door in any second and you're going to have your skin ripped off piece by piece. Probably then there's like a rational person who would kill themselves. But I think for like 90% of situations, genuinely, I think I have to approach the world from the premise that a healthy person would always look for an out.
Do you think that a majority of people that commit suicide are quote unquote healthy, at least mentally?
No, that's my point. I think to kill yourself, maybe this is where I become Mr. Girlian. I think to kill yourself, you have to have and I've been like I've had suicidal ideation, obviously, because it's really common with trans people, but I would never call my thoughts rationally based. I think a lot of it was about, like you said, the state of mind. But I would actually say there's a distinction between that and dysphoria. I think a perfectly rational person could experience the emergent property of dysphoria from like a physical condition, which is that the basis for dysphoria in my mind is like an actual neurological problem that you have. Like, I think someone can be rational and have autism, or rational and have ADHD.
Well, the reality is that people, like an overwhelming majority of people that commit suicide are never diagnosed with like any kind of mental illness. So they never seek psychiatric services. They don't have a history of mental illness in their family or any of these things. It's just people that are put in extreme circumstances and they don't see a way out. So like necessarily, like you're not inherently mentally ill. It's like part of it is going to be like the immediacy and then the severity of what's happening. And this is why men are like much more likely to actually kill themselves than women. And it's because of the violence and the immediacy of it. So like if you come home and your wife's fucking your brother and you're like, holy shit, like my life is over, she's going to take the kid, she's going to take the house, I'm nothing, the gun is right there and you pull the trigger. In the moment, that is a rational response, but that isn't indicative of mental illness. It's like indicative of like poor foresight, right?
There's a few things there. I wouldn't call that rational, actually. I think if you sat down about it
in the context of the situation that they're in, yes, like in the context of somebody that stumbles into that situation, that is like in their thought process, that is a rational response because there's nowhere else to go.
What do you mean by rational?
Like rational in the conception that they're having that thought, where like if you truly think that there is nothing left for you after this instance occurs in your life, and your rational thought is, well, there's nowhere else to go, I might as well be done. In the moment, that is perceived to them as a rational thought. To an outside observer, it might not be perceived as a rational thought. And even, you know, if they are given time to sit down and think about it, it might not necessarily be seen as a rational thought. I'm only talking in the context of frame of reference, and then the idea that there is like an underlying mental health condition that can like propel somebody to have a higher propensity of committing suicide. But the reality is you have to be in the right place, the right time, the right mind state, and the right means, and then it's like over. I mean, right?
I agree that suicides are more selective for like very urgent, aggressive behavior. They're usually very impulsive. I know that, but the difference between my perspective on it and yours is, I think when I say rational, I mean it's a decision you could explain to someone else reasonably. Like, it wouldn't be dependent on your emotional state. For example, if you broke your legs, wanting to correct that, I think I could reasonably assume that you would want to do that from any like human mental state possible, any emotion that's going on for you. You could probably like rationally go from A to B and like explain why you'd want to do that. Or you could explain reasonably why you'd want to transition if you had dysphoria. But I don't think in most situations, like the example you stated with someone walking in on their wife cheating on them, I don't think long term they would look back and go like, oh, the right decision was to blow my brains out.
Yeah, so like I guess I'm being like not clear, because it's like the four like things that I'm looking at are like the immediacy of the situation, like the emotional reaction, and then like the means, of course. And so like in that moment, I'm talking like specifically about that frame of reference. Like for somebody sitting on the outside, it's very easy to be like, no, I would never do that. Like I could never see myself in a situation where I would be willing to end my life like voluntarily, void of like, you know, debilitating illness or like physical decline, you know, like the things that you mentioned. A lot of people have that perspective, but a lot of people are not, you know, really in tune with how they would react in like something that would be constituted as like a crisis in that sense, where in their mind, even at the moment, if like, you know, you could look back in hindsight, or you know, look down from heaven or up from hell, whatever you believe in, that in the moment, in the exact moment that they decide to do it, to them it is a rational action. So I think that asking people to be put into a frame of reference that is like entirely a subjective experience that almost every single person like innately would reject, like I would never act like that, I would never do that, I could never see myself doing that, it kind of begs the question. It's like baked into the idea of like, well, it's hard to position somebody to like imagine a situation where somebody sees no other option, even though there might be. Like the only way that I'm attacking it is like from the frame of reference from that very moment, like the second that they decide to do that, to them that is a rational reaction, right? And not necessarily indicative of mental illness, maybe just like poor impulse control or like poor foresight, right?
Right. Yeah, I get those three components are important to you. I think when I like assess if something is rational or not, I very much, when I say rational, I think of something that can be reasonably argued to another person.
I think of it from like I feel like I'm just referring to like the internal justification.
Yeah.
Like juxtaposed to the idea that like you ask people to put themselves in certain situations and they're like, I would never do that. Yeah. But it's like in certain situations, like people do like unpredictable things. Yeah. And
because I think with Mr. Girl and Smeth, they view transition as something that it's similar to how I view suicide. They see it as something that no healthy human being would ever decide to do. Like they could never possibly rationalize that. Or maybe they could they could never effectively explain it to someone else who doesn't have their state of mind. But I always want that distinction to be clear, that I think that it's more analogous to having a physical health condition and wanting to correct it than committing suicide. You know?
No, that's fair. I see what you're saying. I was just challenging the idea that
Right.
like inherently that you're mentally ill if you commit suicide. I don't think that's true. I think it's just like you have like the perfect set of circumstances, and somebody who is like totally fucking normal could just fly off the fucking handle, right?
Oh yeah, no, that's true.
That's
You
all.
don't necessarily have to have like a mental health diagnosis per se. No.
Yeah, that's all I was getting at.
Yeah.
Very long-winded, but I circled around. I apologize.
It's no problem.
People care about different things in men and care about different things when way people treat me is very different because I'm a man, and I resent that. And I think that coming to terms with the fact that so I think the healthy solution is for me to stand up for myself and say, hey, fuck you all. Everybody in my life that's treating me like this, you shouldn't be in my life, or you're not treating me right. Like I don't want to be treated like that, and to try to surround myself with people who will actually treat me right. And I think that trying to ameliorate those negative feelings comes at the cost of making those changes where you end up with a life where people are treating you right.
Yeah, I mean, the take that I'm getting from you, if you don't mind me reframing it, basically, you feel that there's an essential problem
Oh, he
usually
doesn't
with
like that.
depression that. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying he doesn't like that. He doesn't like the reframing thing.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just wanted to state it back, see if he agreed with it, and then go from there. But obviously, it's not going to matter. Sometimes people will try
Hindsight's
to
20/20.
ameliorate, and ignore with like SSRIs, and it can have bad outcomes for them because instead of getting rid of the issue causing the depression, they've just ignored the symptom of it. And you see transgenderism as like analogous to this because they're ignoring the body dysmorphia or self-hatred that caused them to feel that way.
They're ignoring they're ignoring the even more hidden shit, the system that they live in. It could be even more ambient and less easy to pinpoint, but it could be that the school that you're living in, the housing that you're living in, just the city that you're living in, it could be like your teachers or your parents or your friends, and they are all making you feel like you don't deserve to be happy, that you're not good enough the way you are, or maybe you've already been made to feel like that, and you've internalized it. You were made to feel that way in your childhood, and now it's lingering and it's persistent. It's going to be really, really hard to get rid of, but I don't think it's impossible to get rid of, but it will be really hard. And I think that the way to do that, I mean, I picked some really fucking weird music for this moment. The way to fucking do that is to get mad and transitioning,
women,
I
true.
think, is getting mad.
Sorry.
Oh, he was like, the solution is to get mad, and I said, and hate women, true.
Absolutely.
At yourself and taking it out on yourself, but you should fucking take it out on the world. That's what we need. And like, that's what we need to make the changes in the world that'll make it better for people. And then I think less people will be transitioning.
Okay, so what if I told you, in my perspective, I basically believe that even if the world was completely ideal and accommodating to any type of person, and these environments were like solved, I would still say that there is something there that would cause them to want to transition.
I think that in this hypothetical, this perfect Truman Show-esquely perfect hypothetical where everything's perfect, I don't think that you would actually want to transition. If theoretically for every single individual, you could Truman Show their whole life and control every variable so that they do not get any messaging and they don't feel like there's something wrong. They aren't taught to feel like there's something wrong with them. I think that they wouldn't want to transition.
Okay, sure. I feel like
So like my desire.
Yeah.
Wait. My desire to be a lav or be a slut. You know,
Sure.
like if I grew up in like a world where it's like, I've gone through a couple periods where I made like OnlyFans, and I've been a slut. I am a slut, but I wasn't encouraged the way like a woman is, and I didn't really get anything out of it. Nobody fucking cared, and like women, because it's complicated, but
Yeah.
but if I was accepted as a slut, I feel like that's the thing. I feel like men have to work really hard to prove their worth, and they have to become stoic, and they have to become stoic and like a tool and a machine just to just be deserving of love and be deserving of family and community, where women are by default deserving of love and community. And I feel like if I was treated by default as deserving of love and community, then I wouldn't be so resentful of women, resentful of myself, and self-hating, and I would be content.
Okay, I understand. You basically, okay, I don't super understand it. I'm gonna be honest with you. My brain on smeth for the whole conversation. You feel you would have been more content with yourself if people were more accepting of your desire to be a slut, right? Or to be feminine.
Well, I've lost the whole desire to like have a woman's body. Well, no,
Right.
actually, no, I still want that. It'll still be fun. I still want that. Yeah, but it's not like I have well, I do have body dysmorphia in some ways, but whatever. It's normal amounts, I would say. But I am resentful that I'm not like, so I went to art school, and all the women at art school,
we know.
is like
Sorry.
I just said, yeah, we know.
Right. He does
sorry.
kind of give off that impression. You want to see what his glasses are like?
Oh, I've seen it. I mean, you don't even gotta tell me. Oh god, I'm sorry. I could mute what I say out of pocket
That's
shit
cool.
because I'm just fucking cracking up.
Like, the aesthetic. He's not a bad looking guy. I'm not making fun of him for anything like that. I think it works, but like, he very much gives like art vibes, you know?
I would say more like the basilisk, like those, like when they describe it in the book, and it's like the creepy eyes, like peering out from under the
Holy
sink
shit.
that penetrate your soul, like
You're
that.
going
I'd
so
say
much
more that.
better.
But I would never say something like that. So that, yeah, I would never,
Right.
and no, I wouldn't do that. So
Nah, I think he definitely, he probably does okay. He looks fine. But yeah, I got like art vibes from him, hardcore.
I mean, I'm just
70%.
saying, like, I think that if somebody was like, I just want to be a girl so I can be a slut, I feel like anyone's vagina would make like the power down noise from Windows.
yeah.
But that's just my opinion, you know.
You're right, actually. He'd probably do better with like very pretentious, like art college type people, I would guess.
I just feel like if he didn't talk, I think it would be completely fine. Like, it would probably be the best course of action.
And women, they all got like supportive boyfriends that gave them a leg up in life, and they, you know, like, nobody's ever going to do that for me. Most women actually want me to do that for them. Like, fuck you. No. So it's just and so I'm going to have to work if I actually want to have that role and be that bitch. I have to work
Yeah.
harder.
Yeah, so basically you saw there's a lot of things that are nice of the social package of being a woman that you kind of envied.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think that's a real thing. Like, a lot of men feel envy for how much more women are like empathized with, or the roles that they get in relationships where they're usually seen more as the receiver of care.
Yeah, women don't end up homeless for this, because I'm looking for an apartment right now, and so they're like all the art ho, because I mean, I call them art ho communes because I've gone to them very often, usually on Tinder dates, and they all want women or females. They don't say women. They'll say we accept everyone, but they want females, and that's not me. So
Okay. I mean, what if I told you that just by virtue of you feeling comfortable with yourself now, in spite of not transitioning, there is like kind of a marked difference between, you know, me and you?
well, of course, like you just said what it is, but I don't think that so being comfortable with myself comes at the cost of having to try 10 times harder, right? So like, the other solution that I could take is I could become a red pillar, and I could be like, I have to become a giga chad. No, I'm still that bitch, and I still want that, and now I'm just gonna have to try 10 times as hard to get what I want out of life, and it's not impossible, and I will do it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are like loads of possible motivations to transition, which I know you're getting at, that are outside of like an essential dysphoria. That's true, but that doesn't really like negate the existence of dysphoria.
I don't think it does.
Really?
Isn't that what he's been saying the whole fucking time?
No.
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to say that is that's been the impression I've gotten and what most people would have gotten for this whole conversation.
Moment, I guess. Fuck.
Right. Why would you not believe that affirmation is like a valid response if you diagnose someone with dysphoria?
I just don't think affirmation is a valid response to any psychological condition. Like if you believe that people are following you, telling somebody that's true, and it's okay because people really are following you, I don't think that's the most healthy thing to do for them. I don't think it's healthy to help an anorexic person starve themselves. I don't think it's healthy to transition trans people. And if they so if a trans person is like actually going to, end their own life, unless they transition, I think that them transitioning is a soft version of ending their own life and trying to make a new life.
That's so
And so I don't really
poetic.
think it changed their.
Wow, dude.
That was so fucking deep. Wow. I bet he got that one at art school.
It's
That was
basically
fucking
like
real.
suicide. You kill the
That was
original
real.
person. That's why they call it a dead name.
Awakening isn't changing who you are, it's discarding who you are not. That's so fucking poetic.
For real. That is how relatives
real.
view it, though.
For real,
sure.
I think the funniest thing about this is like, I think that in the context of like, so the examples that he's using are things where like affirming delusions, like quote unquote, are like actually like leading to tangible harm. Like in the instance like we talked about right at the beginning with anorexia nervosa and like bulimia,
Right.
like that there is no tangible end. Where it's like if you are trans, there's like a quote unquote fully transitioned or whatever that looks like to whoever uwu. But like as far as like anorexia bulimia is concerned, like you're never gonna hit that end goal. And like even if you do you have like a distorted perception of reality? And then with like schizophrenia and shit like that, it's like affirming delusions of like somebody is telling you to go and stand in the street in order to have Jesus come back. If you knock on the ground 3 times, he'll return, and this person gets smushed by a fucking car. Like the tangible harm there is like it significantly outweighs. But there are even like circumstantial like instances where it is actually like practical to like affirm someone's delusions. Like if you have someone who's like a sundowner and they're at the hospital and they're like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be back on grandpa's ranch and be like a 10-year-old kid again. And you're going to be like, no, Sandra, you're actually a 70-year-old about to die in a nursing home. It's like 9 times out of 10, you're just going to be like, oh yeah, grandpa's ranch, it's pretty fucking sick, isn't it? To like mitigate the risk. Like it's always going to be a cost benefit of the harm, but you're not taking into consideration, the harm of like disallowing like an identity or even like a choice as like a free agent to be like, no, I do want to modify my body in this way, right?
Right. It's kind of cringe, but I saw a tweet from Taftash that kind of gave me perspective on a lot of trans debate shit today. She basically said, like, from a libertarian perspective, even if you don't sign on to, like, dysphoria or whatever, the idea that we have so many people who now have gone from the Mott to the Bailey, I hope I'm using that phrase correctly, of being even against consenting adults transitioning, when it's, like, basically, fundamentally, you should be able to make, like, a decision about your own body and, like, choose to have, like, other people should be able to choose to participate or not participate in accommodating you, and that should be like a basic societal contract that you can kind of work around.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the simplest way around it is like if somebody like chooses to do this to their own body for whatever reason, and like obviously there's like a million conversations you can have about like ethicality and practice and like who's going to pay for it and blah 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 or whatever, but if you're like an adult and you're paying out of pocket for your own interventions or whatever,
Right.
like who fucking cares? Like
Yeah.
literally no one. Like who cares? It's
Yeah.
Whatever. If you want to, like, if somebody wants to cut up their face to look like Red Skull or like the Punisher or something, it's like, do I think that's fucking crazy? Yeah, sure. Like, I'm free to make that judgment, but I'm never going to say, no, I actually don't think that we should allow this person to do like insane body modifications just because they want to. It's like, whatever.
For me, I think there is definitely a boundary. Like, I think if you have a reasonable understanding that someone this is kind of the suicide thing, that you could never have a possible rational state of mind that would decide to do something. Like, let's say someone decides to peel their face off for cosmetic reasons. I think you probably should intervene at, like, I guess, the state level or, like, institutionally or whatever.
Well, yeah, if you want to call into question, like, somebody's ability to, like, consent to that procedure,
exactly.
sure. Like, if you have somebody who thinks that, you know, they can get turned physically into a wheelbarrow, it's like, well, I don't know, maybe we should talk about that a little bit more, bud.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, in the context of somebody just saying, like, no, actually, I really like, Ghost Rider or whatever the fuck Nicolas Cage is in that movie, and I want my face to look like a skull, and it's like, if there's nothing wrong with you and you just think it's sick as fuck and you have hundreds of $1,000s to throw at it, like, go ahead, I guess. Like, would I do that? Probably not, but whatever, dude. It's your money, it's your time, it's your face. That's cool.
And there are negative health outcomes that you could argue might, like, I'm sure the place that they would go is like, well, it's not rational to take exogenous hormones and, like, do these things, like, negatively affect your libido, you have bone density issues, blah, 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 blah. But then there's obviously, like, subjective decisions that you can make that are negative on your health that we wouldn't take away people's autonomy for. Like, for example, people can drink, people can choose to smoke, people can take testosterone to lift better. There's a lot of sliding autonomy where things aren't universally good, which I think I argue with Smith about,
Well, and like everything is going to be that cost benefit analysis, like even for something as fundamental as like chemo, because like some people will forego chemo because they're like, no, actually, I would rather have like 1 year of like not feeling like shit than like 5 years maybe if it works. It's like people make decisions all the time just based on like what they personally are willing to give. Like I know some people who would rather die than get those kind of interventions, and other people who would do anything to get them. It just kind of depends on what that person values, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. In my case, because I live in the UK, I've been on the wait list for a while. Where do you guys draw the line on this? It would be that threshold that I talked about. No, someone in the chat just said that. It would be the threshold of, can you imagine a rational person deciding to do something? And I think it's easier with dysphoria. If you believe in dysphoria, definitely a rational person can decide to transition. But I think even without dysphoria, you could definitely have someone who cosmetically, just for one reason or another, just enjoys looking like a woman, and they're not necessarily like harming themselves past the threshold that I don't think they can consent to it, reasonably speaking.
I would just draw the line at like somebody's like reasonable ability to consent, and like obviously there's nuance in that, and like the way that people would decide if that's true or not. But if somebody like isn't mentally ill, incapacitated, or like delusional, if you want to do like crazy body modifications or whatever, and you want to pay for it, it's like, I really don't fucking care. Go crazy.
Right. It's much easier with adults. It should be easier because this is definitely at the level of like someone with informed consent can decide to do or not do it. The consequences are, there's like something you can assess there, you know?
Yeah, and you could even go as far like talking about like hysterectomies and sterilization. Like, it's like, is that like a really big decision? Like, you could ask, you know, like if we're appealing to like a rational actor, you could say like, you know, if you ask somebody who had a goal to have a family, they'd say there's under like no circumstances ever that I would be willing to give that up. Like, absolutely not. And then you can have somebody who has aspirations outside of like having a family or whatever, and it's like, no, actually, like I have no interest in that, and their values are just misaligned. It just comes down to like what your priorities are and your values are, and as long as you're like able to consent to whatever that is, I genuinely don't care. Do whatever you want.
Yo, the polygaming. So if someone made a really rational, convincing argument about killing themselves, you'd be fine with that. We talked about suicide a bit. My perspective is, I don't think there is. I think there are a few cases where, yeah, you can actually have a rational reason. Like, for example, like cartels chasing you down, you know you're going to be tortured. Sure. That you can actually argue that. You can say like, sure, yeah, you should kill yourself. And I don't think anyone should stop you. That's like a really rational point to kill yourself. But yeah, it would be that threshold of, can they consent? Are they an actor able to have agency there? And that would really just be it, mostly. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, for me, it's more so like, I think that like not to like rehash everything that we talked about earlier, but just in the context of like where I might not be able to see a rational perspective from somebody else, but to them it might be totally rational. Like my convincing of that doesn't really determine my like gut reflection of it. And especially in the context of bodily autonomy, I'm pretty extreme in that, where people can do whatever they want as long as, you know, they're like able to decide to do it or whatever. Like I'm like a big proponent of like MAID and things like that. So like if, you know, somebody has like treatment resistant blah 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 or whatever, and the rest of their life is going to be lived out in agony and they want to just pull the plug, it's like, okay, as long as you are like aware that like you're gonna be dead and you have time to think about it and process it, like, okay, if it's your life, if you decide, you know, that whatever ailment is impeding you is not worth continuing to live with, I think that that's like a decision between you and your doctor to make sure that, you know, you're not like batshit insane, but also knowing that like your perspective might be different than somebody else's, right?
I think the threshold for that, obviously, I could be signed on to that, but the threshold would be incredibly high, obviously, medically, for them to ascertain if they're in a reasonable state of mind, because the nightmare scenario is, you know, assisted suicide that the person hypothetically in the future would have regretted, you know?
Yeah, and MAID is like incredibly fucking difficult to access. It's not like they say, I want to die one time, and the doctor's like, all right, here's your pill, goodbye. Like, obviously, it's like a pretty lengthy process. And even for people, a lot of people will die waiting to get MAID before they even get access to it. So, like, obviously, yeah, I would want it to be done, like, quote unquote, ethically, whatever that looks like. But as of right now, it's like people die waiting for MAID before they even fucking get it. So, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it just kind of has to be up there. But yeah, that's good. It's good that there's like a lot of oversight there if you are going to offer it.
Certainly. I just think if you're going to die in like a week, though, that they shouldn't be like, well, we're going to wait a week to see how you feel. It's like, well, guys, I don't know. Maybe we could accelerate this process a little bit. I don't know.
Well, to be fair, it wouldn't really matter much, would it, to be morbid about it?
Well, I guess well, unless you have like radiation poisoning and your skin is like slowly melting off your body and it's the most excruciating death you've ever experienced, like in the history of humanity. And they're like, sorry, we have to wait to make sure that you really want this. It's like, well, guys, I think we could maybe expedite this a bit.
In that case, yeah, probably they should kill you and put you out of your misery.
For sure.
Just
shit.
Like redirected it, but like they'll think they're suicidal. And I don't think you're actually I don't think you've actually made that go away, because I don't believe you can ever just be happy by transitioning. I don't think you can suddenly find happiness by getting plastic surgery or any of these things. It's just no. I don't think you can.
Okay. Well, then, basically, that would suggest to me that you don't actually believe in dysphoria in the way that I do. Because I believe that Okay, sorry.
Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't.
Yeah.
You're being gaslit. Gaslight.
In real time.
Gaslight. Gatekeep girl boss.
There's this... Wait, do you know Queeman?
Me?
Yeah, you probably... This creator called Queeman.
Oh, yeah, I love Queen. I don't think women likes me, but I think he's funny.
Right. He had this joke that I really like. At the beginning of the stream, he like announced, "I'm going to gaslight you," and it's like the Jujutsu Kaisen thing where like they read out their technique and it becomes doubly as effective, unironically.
I'm here for it. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that if you gender dysphoria is that you hate your body and you hate your sex, and you think that people, your association with how your correct association with how you're treated, you're based on your gender, makes you horrified by your life.
Okay. Well, I would say it's more than just disliking how you look, because I would call that some form of body dysmorphia, most likely, or just being like insecure as like a regular human being. I think dysphoria is like distinctly like an emergent distress that you get from having like an incompatibility between your neurology that has like a rough internal sense of sex and your actual sex. That's kind of...
So
again,
would you say that a suicidal person has life dysphoria?
No.
That dysphoria. So I know you I think
he was cooking that for a while.
That was base. He held on to that for a long time. I'm proud.
God. I don't know. It's very like Markov chainy. I think it's fun though. It's like entertaining, especially with like the pregnant pauses and the like deep Do you think? Yeah.
I want to go back to him being like, yeah, I want to be a slut, like to be a little. I thought that was so funny. That gave me life.
I want to be lav. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's supposed to sit with that.
very cool, very cool.
You were talking about somebody on the last stream that you mentioned this girl, and she talks about her suicidality a lot in her videos. I don't know, maybe you didn't. I don't know, maybe I'm misremembering.
No, I don't remember this girl, but I would say that suicidality.
Anyway.
Sorry.
So I think that by that standard, you can say that anybody that's suicidal has life dysphoria, and they believe that they should be dead. And there's a lot of people like that, and I think they're all fucking wrong.
I think the issue there is you're basically saying that by virtue of having a medical problem, it can be branded as, I guess, like, dysphoria technically is just distress, if you look at the literal meaning of the word, and gender dysphoria would be specifically applying to this emergent property of what used to be called gender incongruence in the old DSM, but now it's not really seen as a mental disorder. It's seen as just a symptom that is called mental distress. But anyway, I would say that gender dysphoria is unique from suicidality because it's caused by a physical condition. It's not from someone having a delusion or...
I think it is an equal physical condition to being so suicidal that you believe that...
It's pretty gross to compare suicidal ideation to being trans. Yeah, to buy onto that, you have to kind of basically ignore a lot of research, and it makes it really difficult to talk about when he doesn't want to really contest that at all.
It's hard to be engaged in that if you don't really know what you're talking about. I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick. I'll be back in like 2 minutes.
No problem. I can keep people engaged. Hello. Yo. Firsty. Oh, whoa. The Queeman bullies. Shalom. Shabbat. Hello. What's up with you guys? I see the Cupebot drama recently popping off with Malik. I'm still reacting to the smeth debate with ftmongoose, which is originally the segment I was going to do 2 days ago.
Just so you know, they haven't fed. They have been fed.
You guys are really cool. Thank you.
He was fed.
Thank you, Queeman. Well, he's gone. I'll crank out concert holds. Fuck it. Let's see if I can get a quick 950. I probably can't. Have I seen Tim Pool, Lauren Chell hilarity? Chen. I've heard that he was exposed as a Russian stooge, apparently. Yo, Koala. Yeah, okay. I mean, I can go through this a little bit briefly. I wonder... I'll probably find more on Twitter, unironically. I don't have anything for this prepared because I wasn't really going to talk about this today. Right. He probably just ran out of time. It's very late in the UK. Okay. Interesting. I've never seen this before.
One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war.
A lot of Russian Jewish oligarchs.
You've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation.
What is he looking at this whole time? Are his eyes literally darting to a script?
Expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong, I know. You've got criminal elements of the U.S. government.
Sukavlet. Are you reading your documents, Tim? Bro.
Government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world.
He really feels
we should
so
rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support.
It's starting to the Russian It's starting to the Russian money that's making his bank account number go up every time he says Ukraine is an enemy. True. Now he's looking at next year's Doppler radar for Russia since he knows he's gonna be he's gonna have to flee soon. Bro, why is my tongue so twisted?
All right, I'm back.
Yo, we were just briefly, like, you know this Tim Pool shit recently, right?
Oh no, I don't ever talk about politics. I don't care about it.
Oh, word. Yeah, honestly, I'm more leaning towards, like, social issues, especially trans shit, obviously. But, he was exposed as, like, a Russian stooge, literally just paid to say shit.
Well, I mean, is anyone surprised?
Not really. To be fair, it's not like he had much of a position on anything to begin with, to be, like, completely twisted by Russian agencies, but
Love that.
we love that for him.
To be dead.
Slay.
Good night, the Poly Gaming. Who is this? This is ftmongoose. They're a political, sorry, not political. They're someone who loves debating about trans shit.
I used to. It's my old trick.
Right.
Haven't done it in a long time.
What would you say you do nowadays, more than anything?
Drama, mostly.
Oh, interesting. You've pivoted to, like, commentary shit.
Yeah. Debate shit's boring, and, like, trans shit's boring, too. You can only say the same thing so many times, in my opinion, so.
You're not wrong. I mean, the commentary area, like, the Twitch Bowl era is fucking dead. It feels like it was subsumed by, like, commentary shit. Like, Chud Logic used to be a political creator, for example.
Yeah, it's just more fun. It's more silly goofy girl time, which I'm here for.
True.
And that it's wrong for you to be alive. I think that if you believe that you're meant to have it.
Oh, the Malik shit. I did see the Malik shit briefly. I couldn't really parse through it. I saw her on Twitter saying that, like, people were spreading lies about her. I think Chris Bloodus also agreed with that, but I haven't really read about it enough. Apparently, she got kicked out of the house because she was supposedly, like, trying to get squatters' rights. Do you know about this ftmongoose?
Who is it?
Malik004. She's like, sorry, Malik_04.
I think I saw something about that, but I don't think I watched anything on it. It sounds, like, vaguely familiar, but I don't know much about it.
Let's just continue with this for now. You guys are doing the thing that Kelly accuses me of doing, which is getting distracted by chat.
A different body than the one that you have, and you're meant, and it's wrong for you to have the body that you currently have. Like, if you lack legs.
Wait, 4 more days and she would have gotten the squatters' rights. Damn, she really missed that window.
Then you lack functionality to function in society, but you don't have any lack of.
Oh, I saw a meme of, like, Chris Lettuce's avatar punching the Wiggles shit that, like, Creeman has. I didn't realize they were, like, debating on this. That would be interesting to watch, but ftmongoose is here for this. I'm sorry, I'm being rude.
Oh, you're fine. Why not?
You just have, like I don't. You are like there is only your desire is to take away functionality, and I don't think that it's.
Sure. I mean,
just changing yourself. Even I'm even against changing yourself laterally without removing functionality, like doing makeup to look like you are younger or anything like that.
Okay, let's say I told you that someone could hypothetically have a really low budget and they never do skincare, they just do caked up shitty foundation every day and they ruin their skin over the course of, like, 10 years from, like, being a teenager to an adult, and for the rest of their life they just have, like, eczema. Would you call that like a healthy thing to do, or?
I don't think that it is. So I think that.
Bro, the pregnant pauses, they actually make me want to rope. Like, unironically. Him stopping for, like, 5 minutes every time he wants to say something. That just
start yelling.
Every trans kid ever. Sorry?
I said just start yelling.
Yeah.
The skincare topic is skincare, makeup, it's all the same thing. We're trying to make people look like younger, more doll-like, pristine.
Yeah, but there's a negative health outcome associated with some things that you can do to look better, but there's, like, kind of a subjective value there that you kind of, there's, like, informed consent in play that you can kind of decide on, and then there's also medical-based Mr. Girl at home, J Stock at home. This is for things like, for example, taking depression medication with like a million side effects that are bad for you, usually, but are excused because you have this net effect that's useful for this group of people.
I think that every individual, it is beneficial in your life to do makeup. It will make your life.
That's just not true. Like, how is it that he just non-subjectively is like, makeup is a good thing for your life as an individual, when there are like so many clear like negative effects for people using makeup? But well, actually, maybe that's just me being ignorant.
No, I mean, I guess if you want like shitty, oily, greasy cake skin when you wear makeup and you have no fucking idea what you're doing, then I mean, go crazy, I guess.
Bro, like most rich people don't fuck with makeup that much. It's better to like have like holistic like skincare and like do cosmetic surgery unironically to make yourself look better. Makeup.
But have you considered that all women are whores? Have you considered that?
True. Women don't care about health. It's just about being pretty.
Yeah,
when you
true.
do makeup,
Woman.
But it comes at the cost of everyone else, because for every one person that does makeup, everyone else is uglier. And so, yes, if you are the one who...
Do you actually think it would be a good idea to invite Chris Bloodus on? I feel like Queeman's chat is like pining for him. Do you know who he is?
I have no idea.
He's basically a person that's kind of adjacent to like commentary spaces. He's a Aussie guy who's very like grumbly, and he's kind of fun in arguments. I don't know.
I don't care. I'm just chilling. I don't care.
Okay, I'll ask him. I sent him a message. Let's see what happens.
Take the pills so that you have nice skin when you're an adult, you will have a worse life than everyone else. And that's because everyone else
You're a woman.
is taking the pills, and they're forcing you to take. It's like plastic surgery in society is going on it's on the rise, and it leads to a society where more and more people have to get plastic surgery because the standards of beauty rise. In South Korea, the amount of women getting plastic surgery is like 20% or something like that. And to apply for a job, you have to send headshots and shit. And their amount of plastic surgery going on there is exponential. They're the plastic surgery capital of the world, and we're going
Can you
towards
say that is just what women want? Can you just say that's what women want because women want to be like sexy fuck dolls? Like, what if they just want to be like super sexy at work? What if they do? Like, I thought that's what.
Yeah, it's funny. He lives in the world where this is what being a woman is. Models encapsulate the kind of the end goal of being a woman. They're perfect women, and then he's like, no. There's this space for being a woman that is kind of encroached upon when you make unfair beauty standards with surgery and makeup, you know?
But also, that's what women want because they're fucking whores. I mean, wow, incredible.
True. I mean,
fucking owned.
It is like simultaneously feminist and very contemptuous of women at the same time.
We're getting more and more and more of this stuff. So I think that these beauty alterations do make your life better, and it is a race to the bottom.
Okay, sure. I mean, I could. I love women. The beauty thing is good, but only subjectively. It's not like this universally perfect thing. It has like negative consequences as well. You would agree, right?
Well, I don't know what you're saying.
Like you've identified that there's a bad holistic like societal experience that women have once you have makeup introduced. They have a increased standard. That's one of the negative effects that you have.
But they have a good experience when they put the makeup on.
Yeah, so there's like a subjective value there.
Their bad experience comes when they don't wear the makeup. But I'm saying that as a collective, when everyone wears the makeup, it means that the one woman not wearing makeup looks like a fucking hideous beast because every other woman's wearing makeup. Yeah. So on an individual level, it only looks like if I wear makeup, my life will be better. But on a societal level, wearing makeup makes everyone else's life worse.
Okay. I mean, knowing about Smeth's history, would you consider Smeth's views harmful or just muddled? I think they're definitely harmful to an extent because he spreads this very intuitively loaded, I would say empirically correct view of trans people. And not really, it seems almost a bit callous, where he's not really interested in having himself corrected on anything through research. He's very much just appealing to the average person's experience and what would intuitively make sense to them, e.g., making an emotional appeal to how SRS seems to the average person, like cutting your dick off. Isn't that crazy? Why would you ever cut your dick off? That's insane. While also never acknowledging like the fact that dysphoria might exist. Main thing that I kind of want to... Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think that the harm is relative to like your ability to influence, because it's like he just kind of like talks to himself almost. I don't know of anybody that is like has any kind of intellectual rigor is like, oh, this fucks, like this hits, like this is good shit right here. Like I'm really absorbing all this information. But I also would say like in general, like the sentiments that are regurgitated, yes, but usually I would consider it more harmful when it comes from somebody who's like more charismatic or articulate, because it just like. It doesn't sound. And I think that the problem too is that it's like so overloaded with misogyny as well, where even if you were to take Smeth's perspective on some of these things, like just the blatant like misogyny itself would be like a turnoff. I would say even for like people that were conservative that were eager to like kind of gobble this rhetoric up, because like most conservatives are like, yeah, like women have value other than just like being fuck dolls, at least most of them, I would say. So I don't know. I think that it's kind of a weird judgment call.
Yeah. Pivot to or get... I mean, Max has the same perspective. I would say that they're definitely influencers. They don't really have like audiences who will be affected by their perspective, and maybe it's not going to be as huge as like say Destiny if he changes his position on trans shit. But there's someone out there being pushed to a relatively bad place, I'd say, because of Smeth. At YouTube.
I mean, I guess I just would say if somebody was pushed because of this itself, I would be like, well, they were kind of fucked anyway, I guess. But
yeah, maybe
that's just my nihilism, but that's okay.
It's true that if you are going to be pushed by this, you're probably less likely to be the person who would sign on to dysphoria existing through research. You're right. You probably would look for more of an intuitive explanation.
Yeah, so
that there is like a decision there that isn't entirely like a universally good thing to do, but it's kind of beneficial to one facet of their life. That long pregnant pause.
I thought that you fucking paused the video.
That's just what he does. Not making a decision that is like perfectly good for their health in every possible way, but subjectively they've decided, okay. And
I wasn't talking about like.
The problem is that someone gets pushed by this, they're much more likely to spread the word. No. Yeah, especially when it's like a huge political vehicle for the left and the right.
So there it could be good or bad or completely neutral to their health. I'm just saying that they will have better social outcomes wearing makeup. As a matter of fact, it will. Sure. But like I wasn't talking about their health.
Okay, but I would say that there are also health negatives to wearing makeup. For example, even like body dysmorphia is like a component that comes in. Some women put on makeup and then they start to actually dislike how they look without makeup. You have actual physical skin effects as well. Like if you wear foundation every day, your skin will get worse, especially if you're not cleansing it after.
Right. So not only is it bad for everyone else, in the long run, it can have negative outcomes with you too. So nobody should wear makeup. I hate it. I like
jumping to that conclusion and then pivoting to something else immediately was so irritating. That's where I disagree. I would say there is still a place for makeup. It's just not this entirely unnuanced good or evil. It's a subjective value.
Well, I'm saying that it makes everyone else's life worse when you wear. But caveat. Okay, I think that it's fine if you wear makeup that doesn't look like it's your like. So I have this attitude about makeup that is meant to make you look younger and like change like. But if it's like goth makeup, you're not trying to look like it's clear that it is makeup. So I don't have a problem with self-expression. If your self-expression
just don't be a whore. That's easy.
True.
It's really easy. Just don't be a whore. It's very simple.
Just
I don't know.
Don't like move the Overton window for what is acceptable for women. but also like
I
women
just
are
don't know
supposed to be
why you're
pretty.
having such a hard time following this. It's so easy. It's like, just don't be a whore. That's really it.
True.
It's like,
I'm too old and I need to look younger, or I need to look more pale, or I need to, you know, I just need to look like a sexier version of myself. That is what I have a problem with, because not only is it bad for all of society, but it's also it's a lie. And so we're all living in this lie where we think that women are a lot uglier than we think.
Okay. I hear you. Makeup has very negative social implications. Me just having to salvage that, I hear you. It reminds me of my Nina conversation a little. But I do think that there's a place for it because it makes women feel good. And
Me too,
evidently
but
there's... Sorry.
Yeah, well, I think there's a place for it, but just not like I think that if it extends to the point where you can call it like clown makeup, I'm like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I would say that like there's room in society for subjective decisions that can have value in one facet of your life but aren't necessarily all good.
I don't want to stop them from doing it. I just think that I just want to acknowledge that when you do put on makeup, it makes every other woman uglier. So
Sure.
it really is. It's like on so many levels, like Mean Girls is the reality. And even if you're the kindest, most empathetic, kind, nice woman, whatever, you don't even realize it, but you're participating in the Mean Girl world because like you put like, or I don't know, maybe you don't, but when you put on that makeup, you're actually playing the Mean Girl game because when you look pretty,
okay, this is what I need you to do. I need you to do this for me.
Right.
Because we're bonded now. I need you to do this for me. I want you to ask Smeth for like an in-depth analysis of the Barbie movie. I have to hear what his thoughts.
I want to see that media analysis so bad. Yeah.
I'm so curious. I have to hear more.
Imagine like the brain rot that would ensue when he like interacts with like he realizes one of the Barbies is trans and he has to like explain where they're in the movie.
Well, obviously, it's to show that the trans Barbie is not as hot as the non-trans Barbies, and it's to pit women against each other in a philosophical sense that reflects the feminism of the real world.
Yeah,
you know?
and like note how she has like very conventionally like stereotypically pretty ideals on her. Like look at her long hair and her mini skirt, and like look at how much of a whore she's being compared to the other women. The more chaste Barbies.
It's true. The trans Barbie is the sluttiest Barbie. True.
I'm not even sure which one was the trans Barbie. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I'm sorry.
Like shit.
So, how do you feel about guys getting like really buff, or potentially even taking? We don't have to qualify that part actually. People who get really buff at the gym.
It's not. It's not a lie. It's not a lie though. And so like you have to like work out really, so I don't think that there's anything wrong with like diet and exercise. It's honest. If you do steroids, it is a lie, and it's the same thing. And it's worse because it's worse on a different level because it can have extra negative health outcomes. But it is a lie, and it's just as bad in that way.
Okay, interesting. Let's say a woman gets cosmetic surgery and she's very convincingly a very pretty like 10 out of 10 woman.
Liar.
She's making
the rest of us look uglier.
Okay.
So yeah, because you have kids with her, and her kids aren't going to look like that.
Okay.
And everybody else.
True. I hate. True, dude. You get like a triple F boob job, and your kid comes out without like triple F boobs, and everybody's like, "You can't be the real mother." That's so fucking funny.
The ethical misery involved with cosmetic surgery is that you can't replicate it genetically.
I'm having so much fun right now.
Now, everybody that doesn't have cosmetic surgery looks uglier because of her.
Well, the thing is,
nice job, whore.
If you have sex with a gym bro who's like 5'9", your kids aren't going to come out looking like a, Arnold Schwarzenegger. They're going to come out just being short people.
If they work out the same way he did, then they will.
Sure, but it's not like a inherited... I should not have said that, by the way. I just did AoE damage to so many people by saying like 5'9" is my like benchmark for short.
In fact, it is an inherited trait that they have the genetics where if they work out like he did, they'll get his same outcome. If he does steroids, then they won't.
If a woman has a nose job...
Okay, but what if the kid is born and they're like paraplegic? What if the kid's paraplegic? What about then?
Shit. I guess their parents didn't get leg surgery.
It's all fucked up, dude.
Okay.
When you work
Her
out,
daughters
it
could do
is
that. Rep DG tears. Okay, that's a bit too far. I'm friends with loads of DG tears. They're not that short, too.
when you work out, it is a reflection of your genetics and your genetic capabilities.
So you're okay with having a influence to the social zeitgeist of what's expected for appearance if it's like sourced from your genetic code, if it's something that you can reproduce.
Working out is not putting on makeup. It's like your physical health. Like working out is healthy, and
No, because if you work out to that like threshold, it's actually pretty unhealthy.
Yeah,
That's why
it's
people that are
actually
like
not.
massive, like
Yeah.
bodybuilders die really young. It's actually really unhealthy to be that fucking jacked all the time.
It's not like this non-subjectively good thing. It's very much something you opt into for more subjective values that the person can rationally decide on, but you wouldn't immediately assume a person would want it. Like, it's not going to be healthy to be heaving or needing 3,000 calories, or, sorry, that's probably not actually that high of a number, like 5,000 calories a day to sustain yourself. But, you know, people can choose to do that.
Well, men can, women can't. Women are too stupid. So.
Right.
like it's not a cosmetic change. It is just your body.
Yeah, but it is
When
partially cosmetic.
Being
respect
sexy
to,
is so somebody that works out is sexy, and that is not a lie. They actually just are sexy.
Okay. What if you got
Unless
corrected?
they do
Let's say you
steroids.
got.
Unless they do
Okay,
steroids,
wait.
then it's a lie.
Well, what if you got punched in the face as a woman and you had corrective nose surgery to make it normal, but then it made you more attractive than most women because they gave you a
Or-
cute button nose? Actual whore.
I
Poor
think
behavior.
that is a lie, but I understand it. And I don't think I like if I was a king,
Schrodinger's
I would
nose
just
job.
stop everybody from doing all these things. But I would want them all to know.
Smeth comes off as very jealous of women. Wow. I mean, I feel like he's self-reported that multiple times. Yeah, the like calling himself AGP, saying like I want to be lav, I want to be a slut in this conversation. It very much is his platform. Maybe. Yo, Sardine. He said that he wanted to be trans, but I thought he said he was trans. He's just AGP. There's a reason Hugh Jackman didn't come back as Wolverine for a long while. The workouts to yeah, exactly. It's not like the most healthy decision you can make. So
I want them to feel guilty.
what if they have a
Yeah,
sign
whores.
on their
Tell
forehead
'em.
that says I got a nose job? Does it become good then?
That becomes amazing. It's like, well, it's all that I would, dude, Boogie getting liar tattooed on his face, that is so fucked up, dude. Fuck.
Yeah. I mean,
Good
so
derail.
for you, it's partially the health benefit justifies it, and then B.
No, I'm saying that if you work out, it is actually just your body. It's not a lie.
Yeah, but part of it, like the reason
There's
why
no
I brought it
lie.
up is it's partially analogous to creating like a social environment where people have larger expectations for themselves because you have upped the ante.
Okay. Actually, so yeah. Actually, you know what? I will agree. I you know what? You're right. Bodybuilders.
Let's go.
That are not doing steroids but are still bodybuilders, and they're doing like shit every day that is completely so let's say we lived in a society where all men are doing like dumb workouts that aren't actually, well, it's still going to be good for your health, but it's just not that good for your health. It's not actually going to make you too much more fit, but you're working out your glam muscles, and you probably still live longer. So I think there is some level in which it would be you're making everyone else uglier by, like, a rich guy that spends all of his time like perfecting his body, like Andrew Tate. Like, you can't have a body like Andrew Tate unless you're rich and you have a lot of free time. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
So for him to say that anybody can do that easily, or just try, you need to have free time. So
What if I told you
What if
Andrew
it's-
Tate? Sorry.
What if he's probably doing steroids? I don't know. What is he?
Yeah, I mean, like most people at the gym, who are like that big, or I guess Andrew might actually be natty. I'm not quite sure. I'm not a big gym. I immediately corrected myself. I did not think that. He led me there, and I'm just very agreeable. He does look very natty. He does not look like he's on like roids, but yeah, or something.
He looks like he could be natty.
Yeah,
And he was an athlete. He was a fighter, and they would have been drug testing him. So I think he might actually still be natty.
It's more possible that he's just like, because he's like toned, he's not like ridiculously huge. But yeah, what do you think of people who they do have a health benefit for it partially? Well, technically testosterone's bad for you long term, but in your 20s you're going to be really powerful. What do you think of that?
What think of what?
I was just looking for a loose way to make this analogous, but honestly I didn't have to go that far. Just going to the gym and getting to like extreme bodybuilding lengths is not very healthy.
No, it's not. It's like not an apt comparison, because like if you're basing it on the outcome of like health, it's like, then what is that, the quote unquote like health harm to make up, other than you don't like it because whores wear it? Like, I don't know. I'm kind of lost in the sauce.
Chris Bletta says Andrew Tate's year-round leanness and his age are a bit suspicious, higher than most gym goers. It could be the case that he's just especially dedicated, but who knows? By the way, Chris, the chat was pining for you earlier. If you wanted to come on, you could. I'd be open to it. I've taken testosterone when you're like a young gym goer.
I think it's a lie.
It's a lie, but it's also, I mean, it's technically unhealthy as well. That would be part of it, no?
What are you fucking getting at?
I'm trying to figure out your like qualities for when this becomes bad, because I think overall I would circle it back to these are, in this case, there isn't really
dishonest.
Sure.
Because when it's dishonest, then it makes everyone else look bad, because it's not what a human being looks like. And if we have an expectation of human beings being something that's not actually what human beings look like, then that's a lie, and that makes everyone uglier.
Okay.
But human beings actually do look muscular if they work out. Working out is not like getting a surgery or anything. Working out is something probably everybody should do.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you. But if we were to loop it back to the original argument, I guess the only analogy I was trying to make is there is some subjective value you can decide on that isn't really perfect for everyone in society, or even yourself, really. But there's this one value to it, and I feel like when it comes to taking depression medication or transitioning, there is like a possible basis there that can make you justify it rationally, even if there is like a perceived harm in one aspect. For example, taking exogenous hormones will reduce your libido. It will probably potentially cause blood clots. It will probably give you heart problems if you have way too high of a dose. Maybe if you have a lack of hormones, like in the case of puberty blockers, you have like reduced bone density, but there are like potential cases where it could be overall like a net good.
It's a lie.
It's a lie. Wait, so
Good one. Good one.
He very much like he Markov chains himself into whatever value he's been talking about for the past 5 minutes. Like before, he wasn't fixated on this lie thing, but now this is like the current episode. It's a lie, and it's just like the most dramatic way you can argue without having like a consistent thread. He did say he wasn't linear at the beginning of the argument, but yeah.
Nonetheless, it's still irritating as fuck to like wade through.
Let's say, hypothetically, which I think seems to be borne out, it's slightly better than placebo. Let's say SSRIs seem to have really good outcomes for people diagnosed with depression, and the way that I understand it is, you said earlier, you believe that they're skipping over the cause of depression by taking SSRIs. What if it's borne out that by virtue of taking SSRIs, they're able to correct their circumstances, and their outcomes are actually very good?
Well, then that's good.
Because, like, yeah, very often the state of mind is helpful in improving your life outcomes as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
But that would mean
True.
that, like,
I think
even
it is a
though-
tragedy. I think that they shouldn't be in a situation where they need to resort to that, but I make sense that they would, and I support it.
It's funny
Yeah,
how
'cause,
yeah, he goes from the Bailey to the Mott again. The Mott to the Bailey. I'm using my terms incorrectly, but whatever. He basically retreats immediately once he gets pushback from that, and he's like, you know what? Actually, now that you're approaching me with this reality about depression and medicating depression, I would say that it's probably actually good that they take the medication after like literally 1 minute of talking about it.
I think everybody should just like feel better and get over it. That's what I would say.
But I
Yeah,
think that's
so-
not the ideal solution. It's like having an option of two bad solutions, two bad
Sure.
options. It's so.
But realistically, like, everyone with depression is going to be there for a reason. They're not going to like be able to wake up and then fix themselves. Very often, like, fixing depression requires like a
Yeah, no,
state
you've
of
already
mind.
made this. I know, I
Yeah.
get it. I just, yeah.
Yeah, but it would still be a
You-
lie, I guess,
Or
technically, because
project.
you didn't really get there in a normal way or in like a.
Well, no, we're
Okay.
not. We're not talking. That's a totally different topic. Like with the lie thing, I'm talking about like beauty. So
Okay, sure.
I'm saying that like you look like you have genetics that aren't what you have, and it's in fact not anybody's genetics. It's just like like Instagram models, filters. That's a lie. Makeup is a lie. Like cosmetic surgery is a lie. Like I want people to just look like people, and then we will all be more sane, and we will all look less ugly as a result.
What if I told you that people transitioning don't necessarily have a goal
Would
of
you like-
becoming like models or sluts or bimbos or whatever the fuck?
Excuse me. I don't believe you.
That seems to be the majority of trans people.
I think they
despite,
want to
like,
be attractive. I think they want to be
Well,
attractive.
to be clear, everyone wants to be attractive. I'm not going to
Yes.
say that that's not true. Everyone does want to be attractive, but the goal with transitioning isn't to become a model. That's what I would say. Isn't it frustrating to argue with someone about this when they haven't even done the smallest amount of research on the topic with any good faith of trying to understand it? This is why I imagine Emery is reflecting on his own struggles defending transitioning against Smeth, or like arguing with Smeth about trans shit and like what trans people are. I've never seen those conversations before, but I imagine since he seems very similar to Mr. Girl, it probably went a lot like this. Usually just presume that people like Smith react off of a disgust factor. No, I wouldn't even go that far. I would just say that it's like highly intuitively loaded. This is like mostly like how normies would look at trans shit, probably.
Well, and if it's any consolation, this is why I particularly like got away from all these kinds of conversations, because they're just like so fucking boring and
Right.
like a shit fuck waste of time, because it's like any kind of consistency is just like falls right out of the side of his mouth when he's talking. As soon as it's like, oh, well, what about this? It's like, I guess you're right. But anyway, so also lies. It's like, oh, yeah, that's a new one. I didn't hear that one earlier. Nice.
Yeah.
Based.
I mean, like, there's so many, it's kind of like Israel-Palestine. There's so many things involved. You can, like, endlessly meander or have, like, a million different reasons to be invested in it emotionally. And it makes it very difficult to talk about. Because if you're going to try to, like, have a more linear, grounded argument about it where you're going from premise, conclusion, and you're trying to, like, assess, like, what's different in your worldviews, people can have, like, this very wide, broad paintbrush and all the implications of this very wide-reaching subject, and it can last forever.
Yeah, it is quite literally like the endless. You'll never run out of like different rabbit holes to run down. It's pretty exhausting. Just for the record, I got like 20 minutes before I'm gonna jet, just so you know.
No, that's fair. I mean, it's a very long conversation, to be fair. I could, if you want, we can advance the process, and I can do, are you open to doing like call-ins and chat? Because a lot of people want to talk to you.
Sure, that sounds fine.
Okay, sure. I'll ask, there's one person in particular who I knew wanted to get on stream. They're relatively vocal on like a trans chat. Yo.
Sure.
Wanna come on? Smiley face. Also, open to anyone else here. We can move over to Yeah, Palace, actually, because it's usually conventionally where I would do this type of shit. Okay. Anyone here, if you want to join and do a quick conversation with ftmongoose, I'll post invite links in both chats. Because it'd be a better use of our last 20 minutes, probably. I'll just wait for people to filter. What are your closing thoughts on the Smeth argument, if you had, like, a conclusion on it?
Projection is a bitch.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
Have you ever seen his video on, like, AGP shit? And, like,
I've seen, like,
himself
bits
as
and
funny?
pieces. I've seen bits and pieces of it. I just, like, it's, like, in my opinion, it's, like, very evidently, like, projection and, like, his own feelings about, like, women, and it just is, like, a big clusterfuck of, like, a lot of, like, severe mental illness and, like, too much time online that culminates into, like, brain poison.
Cool.
But
Unfortunately, one person's kind of busy. I think I've never seen this video before, so I'd be interested to watch it with you while I wait for people to filter in.
Sure. I'm gonna turn my camera off so I can eat, though,
No
because
problem.
I'm not eating today.
Very artsy intro.
Oh shit, I guess I should, like, put on what you're watching.
Yeah, probably. Oh shit, you know
Whoops.
what? My bad. I assumed I had the stream still going. That's my mistake here.
It is all good and good.
You look fantastic.
I'm not gonna lie. He kind of does.
All the way around. Yes. Oh my god.
Serving
Okay,
cunt.
turn around.
Honestly, we love that for him.
Further back.
Play.
There you go.
Yo. Oh, my Discord reactive just fucked up. That's interesting. Ew. What is wrong with him?
Probably not.
Alright.
Not having fun anymore. Not having fun
Give me a
anymore.
second. I'm just gonna figure something out real quick. I'm not sure why it's just fucked up for zero reason. Do you mind if I disconnect and then reconnect real quick?
Oh, you're all good.
Alright. Alright, cool. Share the screen again. Although I don't know if you're comfortable with it anymore. He's a very weird person.
I've seen worse things.
He's unironically pretty cute though. Hey Sarky, he swapped chats.
That's more in my face.
Yeah, that's the point.
Can I do something? Okay, you won. I want you to know that I let you win. You know what I mean? But because if I pet the cat, now he's gonna be like, no, I can do it again. But
No, not the cat, bro. Fuck.
Oh, shit.
Thank you.
we're in a fucking, what is this place? A museum?
Yeah.
And someone asks you, how do you feel about trans rights?
Yeah.
Probably not good.
I don't know. It's weird now because it's so much different now than it was back then because I didn't think that people were as stupid as they are. I'm transgender. I don't know, it just means so much to me on such a deep level. And then there's people who are transitioning for whom it doesn't really mean anything and they're just doing it for acceptance. People who don't experience any internal sense of gender, but they are...
It's interesting how he could talk to someone like this and then completely disregard what she's talking about.
But they think that their life would be better
Women.
if they were interacting with the world as a woman, or
Blood
if
is
they were interacting
waffling.
with the world as a man.
My life would be way better as a woman.
Yeah, that's like, and then
Yo, carrier.
someone could take that.
Hi.
He has perms to join immediately. But did you have anything you wanted to say to ftmongoose about this?
What do you mean he has perms to join it? Oh, you mean me?
I'm talking about you. Are you incapable of...
Oh, okay. You see, this is the dynamic we
See,
have
we
here.
just
I
started.
don't
We
get-
literally join, and you give me a reason to bully you immediately.
Yeah, you
This
call
is
it
why,
bullying.
this
but-
is why Queeman's chat didn't like you, by the way.
Oh yeah, is this it? I joined and then you
Yeah,
complain
no,
about me?
you're everything. Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, any thoughts?
I was gonna say literally me. The title of this video, literally me. Base.
Right.
that and
I wanted
medically
to. I did want to.
change their body for it. Oh yeah, you did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. I want to hear more about.
Here, you hold the camera.
Okay.
See, it's different when you're holding a camera.
Well, I also just have word weirdness.
It's because you're holding
I think the autism hat just is so beautiful. It's so fucking
It's
beautiful.
perfect.
Having gone to art school, watching my 70% female colleagues thrive in various ways, and the aspect of being a socialite, I found was very limited being a man, and nobody treated me the same. I wasn't allowed in the same places. Nobody loved me the way they loved women, and I wanted to be loved. And also, I have autogynephilia. And those two things.
This just feels like trauma porn.
I wanted to.
And also I was molested. And
This-
also...
I feel like
Morning.
I'm being forcefully exposed to somebody else's kink. This is like my
Right.
version of a saw trap. This is fucking insane.
It's a bit like Mr. Girl, I guess. Or there have been a few times that I've watched people and they've been a bit too intimate in their communication style, and it felt a bit like, okay, what's going on here? You know?
It's like serial killer shit. It's like I have no
Yeah.
connections or meaningful relationships with anyone
Right.
in my life, and it must be because I'm a man, not because I'm sitting here like showing my literal asshole to the internet to prove that I'm an
Yeah.
autogynephile. That couldn't possibly be fucking it. That couldn't be that at all. No.
Transition, and my dad said no.
How do you feel?
This is literally the Silence of the Lambs scenes where they don't let Buffalo Bill transition. Oh my god, he's got a whole fucking closet full of women's
Yes.
suits.
His like fashion sense very much suits one of those characters too. He has the serial killer glasses.
I'm grateful. He did research, and he like showed me like studies, and he's like, look, this isn't going to be good for you. And I was like, well, that's the point. The point is it's not going to be good for me. Those are the things I want. The things that you're saying are bad are the things I want. But now I'm glad that I became adjusted with my body, and I didn't do that. And I don't think I would have actually gotten much. I would have gotten some, but not all of what I wanted. And I think that I'm very attractive, and I would not be nowhere near as attractive had I started changing my body.
I just feel like I'm being beat to death by sticks, so fuck.
It's his diary. That you're getting a peer into his soul.
Oh god.
Is that there was a time when you could search YouTube and get you could search YouTube for cross-dressing, drag, men wearing women's clothing, male celebrities in drag, and you would get scenes from every movie where that has happened. You would get like actual just like guys wearing women's clothing, guys in like a little bit of makeup. And now because of Drag Race, I, as a person who has a cross-dressing kink, have struggled to
Oh my
access
God.
this content because when you search YouTube for those things, all you get is like,
Nargliar.
and like,
Oh god.
like professional drag queens.
It is wild though how common this is in Hollywood. Like just regular actors end up being in roles where they do like drag or whatever. Curious.
I am. This is the psychic damage is like, oh Jesus Christ! Rip Sigmund Freud. You would have fucking loved this, dude.
Right.
Who are wearing so much makeup that they don't look like men anymore, and they don't even look like women. They just look like clowns,
Dolls.
caricatures.
The doll thing
costumes.
is
I mean,
weird
I
too.
admire the
It's with
art
dolls.
Oh, right. The Twitter doll people, like the HSDS doll, feminine. I love you, darling. We love that for you, cunts, XD type of gay people. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm imagining this more like him just having like the Mr. Girl doll thing, because everything is about they want to look like dolls.
Right.
It's like what the
They're
fuck?
not
Like
human. They're not raw. They're not like me. They're not staring at the camera doing pregnant pauses. They're presentable.
I want to die.
But
Yeah.
I'm not aroused by it in the slightest. And I think it's desexualized. I think RuPaul has desexualized drag and cross-dressing.
Oh no! Darn.
Fills it up with water. Yeah. Yeah, and when this motherfucker was walking by, Earl just aimed at it, dropped it, and let it go.
Fortunately, I made a YouTube playlist, which you can find at
The jerk it list.
famous men cross-dressing.
Fuck.
No, famous men.
It's
Famous Men
okay. You can get through
Cross-Dressing
this.
Or portraying.
I'm
women,
trying so hard.
I think is the full title of the podcast. I mean, the podcast, the playlist, and
The goon list.
it's 80 videos, and I spent like a whole week.
Oh, it was
trawling
so
YouTube for
common
all
on
these videos that
SNL
used to
or any
come
kind
up,
of sketch
That's
comedy for
finding
that
them in the
matter.
depths.
That's really horny.
And yeah, now it exists, and it has 13,000 views because there are other people who need this, and it has been denied them.
You
personally
need to
by
goon. You
RuPaul.
have to.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a
Thanks to me,
hypnosis video.
It has been returned.
Well, thank you.
I mean, I feel like I'm immune, thankfully.
No, they've already got you. It's too late. Same with me.
This is something. I don't even like the music. There's like no redeeming qualities.
It's a bit disjointed. It feels very schizophrenic as a video, which is a bit like how our argument went. I feel like this video very much mirrors this like conversation style.
There's like no redeeming qualities. I don't like the music. I don't like the transition. I don't like the awkward pauses. Like there's nothing about it that I find pleasant or enjoyable.
Right. I wonder what the bulk of his content is like, actually. Like if he's talked about the trans shit prevalently or not. I think it's mostly like women specifically that he tends to talk about a shit ton. I think he has this fixation on dating dynamics and like rape and shit. That's like what his first call-in was about. But maybe my memory's incorrect.
I just feel like it's really sad when like the trans people are the normal people in the room, where it's like, can you please
Right.
just like keep your like rape fucking sissy porn shit to yourself? Like,
To be fair, he is trans. Okay, we can't escape the stigma. He's AGP.
I'm J.K. Rowling is right. We don't deserve rights anymore. Fuck them. We don't need them.
On God.
I'm done. What is this? Just a video of grasshoppers?
Just slowly. I imagine he's going to document like his experience with lesbians taking tests.
No, you're joking.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. No, he's not.
I think he might have mentioned this to me actually. Like during our conversation. That's why I could intuitively guess that.
Went on one date with her when we were right. We had a good time, so we went out to some really scenic park that she knew of. And it was a spot of snow out, but I had a bunch of blankets in my trunk, so got a bunch of the blankets and we wrapped them up like into a burrito and we just laid on top of the snow. It's kind of nice. Just laid there and cuddled for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Next date,
Next date.
over and
I feel so in
We went
tune
on a
with his
walk
feelings
through
right now.
a trail
I feel like afraid for this woman.
to a grocery store. Got a bunch of food and we pigged out.
Uh-huh. What are we? What are you doing? Finish the statement.
It's so disjointed.
She was
You
very
can edit that
hungry,
part out.
and she was very energetic.
Oh.
We
mhm.
had very nice conversations with her. She sounded kind of like a
Oh, good.
She was
Like a
easy to
doll,
talk
maybe?
to, like a guy, where you could talk about like,
Oh my god.
minor mechanics in a video game for like 2 hours.
That's true love right there. That's
how
intimacy.
I remembered it.
That's why that's why people date trans women, supposedly.
Now what do we do? What the fuck?
Let's just film me like washing dishes.
I'm having like 0 fun, like -10 fun.
It's art house. You don't understand.
So
Huh?
when we got back, we started watching a movie. We came back with the food.
Yeah.
We watched a
20
movie
minutes.
on my laptop. I don't remember what movie it was. We spooned. Got very
Lots of spooning.
close. Started to touch each other. a bit. We didn't get naked though.
This is so unbelievably awkward.
Oh, please kill me.
She told me that she had started taking testosterone.
Imagine the woman on the date with, where like he actually does like the live pregnant pauses. I think someone mentioned that they dated like, and I was talking to someone. They were like, I dated someone who was a big Mr. Girl fan, and they actually did that shit. Like they take on those mannerisms. Like
I'm straight up imagining like going on a date and you're like, this guy is kind of a fucking freak. Like that was really weird. And then you get home and you're like, what is this recommended video on YouTube right here?
Oh no.
And he's like, and then we touched a little bit, but not like naked. And you're just like, I was almost on an episode of Dateline NBC. I was almost fucking on a milk carton. I would never recover.
And ironically, I would have rather had my drink spiked than have to watch a video like that about my date. Yeah.
Okay, we were talking about it earlier. In this context, if that was me, I would commit suicide undoubtedly. Okay, like I don't want to hear any of this bullshit where you're like, oh, I could never put myself in their. I would 100% fucking kill myself in a video game. Like no shot.
So, she was trying to become a guy. Actually, she didn't want to become a guy.
What?
She wanted to. She wanted to be more androgynous, and she didn't want to have a gender or an identity. And
Okay, cool.
I kind of understand that and stuff. And she was extra sensitive down there. It was my idea actually not to have sex.
What the
On
fuck?
the first date,
I actually decided, you know, for her health, that we wouldn't have sex that night, because you know I'm such a sensitive guy.
made the
I'm
plan
telling
that we
you,
should
dude.
wait till the third date because I thought it was going well. I think sometimes if you you plan on holding off till a third date or something, and it's really nice. It's like a suspense, and you both are horny, so and it forces you to sort of get to know each other a little bit first. So you're a little bit
Quick
more
vibe check. Are you
invested,
feeling
and
horny in the way
you're
this is described?
No.
Like listening to this, are you like, wow, this is so romantic, and I'm getting like you're not. Yeah.
I can feel the tension. At least
I'm
this
like
guy's
getting
interesting.
Baker-acted. I'm getting
he
Baker-acted.
He is interesting, to be fair.
just
Like in a
using sex
horrific way, like how Jeffrey Dahmer is fucking interesting. Sure,
Right.
like Jesus.
to get to the personality. You're going through the personality to get the sex, so it feels a little bit more intimate that way.
I also love that, whatever that is. That's my favorite part of the video. Whatever that was, I liked that.
What?
Did you not hear the in the background?
No, he just doesn't.
Go back.
He doesn't like hyper edit shit at all. It feels like he records one take.
It was like
there's
his roommate was like having a seizure, and it just happened to be in the background. That
Yeah.
brought me joy. That was my favorite part
has
so
a
far.
rationale for why he only does one take. Like it's the most authentic expression, or
He's trying to do like the Birdman shit. It's like
yeah,
art.
basically.
Messed up bad or something.
See, even he knows.
It's kind of cute though. Hey, Emery.
I think that you should just fuck Smeth. It sounds like that's what you want to do. I think you should just do it. I don't know why you're using me as a shield to deflect from your true inner feelings.
Oh, shut. That's an interesting read.
Oh God, please hurt
Emery,
me.
what's up?
They're not gonna stop.
We'll never know.
Oh, shut.
Jesus Christ.
casual satanic rituals in the hall.
If you add like breakbeats mixed with like a vague, I blame his parents too. Jesus, I don't know. Mixed with interesting lighting, it becomes artistic. This is like Aphex Twin as a person.
Yeah, I remember putting my hand on her crotch over her pants.
Okay, please, please, please.
Yeah, I remember putting my hand over her. The most uncomfortable delivery imaginable.
With like the perfect autism shelf in the background.
Yeah.
What a fucking deadly combo.
Is that like a
yeah.
Hytale, the ring from like, sorry, the triangle from like Legend of Zelda? What's
that?
I think those are just like Rubik's cubes, like different kinds.
Oh.
Which is worse,
Thinking
honestly.
about how extra sensitive she was down there. She told me about how it made her extra hungry. That's why she was eating so much.
Extra hungry?
That's why she was so energetic. Ramped up on testosterone. And I liked her. And I liked the person that I had met for those 2 days. She had just started the hormones. So she was not very physically different. She looked very female.
Wow.
That's not
profound.
Ooh.
Oh, all right. I got a jet. It's about my cutoff. Thanks for girl time. We can shoot the shit whenever. I'm cool.
I appreciate that.
Whatever's good.
Honestly.
Peace and blessings.
Yeah, you spared me from finishing this, but yeah,
welcome.
thank you for your time. Goodbye.
Yeah, later, Gator.
See ya. Right. Well, you know, I'm still really glad Queeman hosted me. I'm really thankful and all that shit. But honestly, today I mostly was fixated on just that conversation and don't have much time for much else. So it's probably going to be me. Remember to follow, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you guys.